Chapter 681. The poisoning was exposed. Pinyong picked up the phone. Xiaofu, I have good news for you. My kidney transplant was successful, and I'm about to regain my confidence as a man. Ugh. Liang bro, I have bad news for you. Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company found out about our poisoning, and they reported it to the police. Do you think the police will find us? Xiaofu didn't even have time to congratulate Pin Liang as his heart was filled with deep fear. What? They found out so quickly? No way. Pin Liang was shocked, as he didn't expect them to act so quickly. Didn't they say that deadly 7 herbs poison was some ancient poison that no one could cure? It seemed like Master Bing's Yaowang wasn't very reliable either. Yeah, Liang bro, what should we do? I don't want to go to jail. Why, I'm still quite young. Xiaofu heard Pin Liang's nervous voice and became even more afraid. It's fine, Xiaofu, I'll ask my dad right now. Master Bing already found a scapegoat for us. Even if something happens, you won't be implicated. I'll take it all on my own. Pin Liang comforted Gao Xiaofu. That's good, that's good. Xiaofu heard Pin Liang's words and sighed in relief. Then I don't have to do anything? If the police ask me, I'll just say that I don't know. And you don't have to say anything. If they want to ask, let them ask me. Just pretend that it has nothing to do with you. Pin Liang said. Okay, I understand. Xiaofu said gratefully. Liang bro was a good man. He didn't shirk responsibility when something happened. Pin Liang hung up the phone and called his father over. Fabai was just outside the ward. He had just turned on the TV and saw the news about the mass coma in Songshan's first school. He was looking at it when Pin Liang called him in. Dad, the poisoning was exposed. Hurry up and calm Master Bing. Don't drag me into it. Pin Liang would be lying if he said he wasn't worried. He was afraid of going to jail. He just had a good kidney, and he didn't even have time to enjoy life. He didn't want it to be ruined in jail. Xiaofu just called and said that some miracle Dr. Guan medical company found the reason for the student's coma and told the police, I'm also watching this news. Fabai nodded and said solemnly, I'll call Master Bing now. Although he has already arranged it, I still need to confirm it. Okay, Dad, don't make a mistake. I don't want to go to jail. Pin Liang reminded. No way. Why would I let you go to jail? Fabai said with a wave of his hand as he dialed Sihua's number. Old Zhong, right? Sihua answered Fabai's call. He had a rough idea of why Zhong Fabai was calling him, so he didn't wait for him to speak. I'll arrange for someone to turn himself into the police station right now. If the police come looking for Pin Liang, just tell Pin Liang to say this. Master Bing will take care of the rest for you. Sihua told Fabai what Pin Liang needed to say, and Fabai calmed down after listening to Sihua. With the prescription of the deadly 7 herbs poison provided by Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Company, the police quickly found the content of the 7 herbs in the food. The person who poisoned the food was very smart. He only used one type of herb in each dish, and the herbs alone were not poisonous. In fact, when a few herbs were mixed together, they could even strengthen yang and nourish the kidneys. However, when these 7 herbs were mixed together, they could produce a deadly poison. This was also the reason why only a small number of students were poisoned. After all, there were very few students who ordered all 7 dishes and ate all of them. The rest of the students who only ate a few of the herbs would not be poisoned. After finding the source of the poison, the police sent people to the school cafeteria to investigate. Without any suspense, the suspects were Zhong Pin Liang and Gao Xiaofu, who came to the cafeteria earlier in the afternoon. According to the cafeteria chef, only Zhong Pin Liang and Gao Xiaofu touched the food in the kitchen alone. Other than them, no one else touched the food. After eliminating the possibility of the chef's motive, the police locked their targets on Zhong Pin Liang and Gao Xiaofu. Zhong Pin Liang didn't expect the police to react so quickly. Gao Xiaofu hadn't hung up for long, and the police already came to his door. Hello, I'm the captain of Songshan's criminal investigation team, Lu Wangli. This is my ID. Lu Wangli arrived quickly, and the person who received him was Zhong Pin Liang's father, Zhong Fabai. Hello, Officer Lu, you're finally here. That's great. Zhong Fabai quickly shook Lu Wangli's hand enthusiastically. Lu Wangli was stunned. He didn't understand why Zhong Fabai was so enthusiastic. He was here to arrest his son. Okay, Mr. Zhong, why did you look forward to my arrival? Lu Wangli asked curiously. Yes, my son Pin Liang. Ever since he was harmed by the kidney trafficking organization and had one of his kidneys removed, he became absent-minded and had low self-esteem. I wanted to call the police, but he wouldn't agree no matter what. He was afraid that the criminals would take revenge on him after I called the police. Zhong Fabai sighed and said with pity, I really feel sorry for my son. Since you're here, please persuade Pin Liang to cooperate with you and bring the criminals to justice. Lu Wangli heard Zhong Fabai's words and was shocked speechless. He never thought that Zhong Pin Liang was also a victim of the kidney trafficking organization. It seemed like things weren't as simple as he thought. Could it be that there was something else? He decided to talk to Zhong Pin Liang and said, Is that so? Where's Zhong Pin Liang now? He's in the ward inside. He said that he was mocked and looked down on by his classmates in school. They said that he lost one of his kidneys and is no longer a real man. They said that he's a eunuch. Zhong Fabai sighed again. They even mocked him and said that he sold his kidney to buy an iPad. Officer Liu, with our family's financial situation, do we still need to sell our kidney? Zhong Fabai, may not be rich, but I'm the boss of an entertainment city, right? Can't I afford an iPad? Chapter 682. Deceiving the heavens. Well, I haven't finished speaking yet. He's being ridiculed in school. I don't think it's okay. If this continues, Pin Liang will become a mental patient. What if he does something I'll regret? I only have one son. Fabai said, so I contacted a black intermediary and bought another kidney for Pin Liang. I just finished the kidney transplant, and he's resting inside right now. Bought him another kidney? Just finished the surgery? Lu Wangli was even more shocked. Pin Liang was poisoned, and now he had a surgery? What kind of speed was that? I know that it's illegal to buy and sell kidneys through illegal agents, but you can understand me. I pity all parents. Fabai sighed. If you want to punish someone, punish me. You can't let Pin Liang return the kidney. He can't afford it. He just regained his confidence as a man and wants to live again. Don't ruin his life. Lu Wangli was even more confused. Why did it sound so strange? Was Pin Liang the one who poisoned Pin Liang? I'll pretend that I don't know anything about this black agent, but I have something else I want to ask Zhong Pin Liang. Can I talk to him alone? Lu Wangli asked. As for Fabai buying a kidney from an illegal agent, it was already given to Pin Liang. There was no point in pursuing the matter. Pin Liang was also a victim. Yes, of course. Help me persuade him again. Let him regain his confidence and go to school, Fabai said. Lu Wangli nodded and walked into the ward. He saw Pin Liang lying on the bed. Pin Liang naturally saw Lu Wangli in his police uniform. He hesitated slightly and said with a depressed expression, Hello, officer. If you're here to collect evidence for the kidney trafficking company, I don't want to go. I don't want to embarrass myself anymore. I've had enough. I don't want the kidney trafficking company to take revenge on me. But if you want to ask about the coma incident in school, I can be honest with you. I did it, but it wasn't my intention. It really wasn't. I didn't think that there would be such serious consequences. Lu Wangli was stunned by Pin Liang's straightforwardness. He didn't think that Pin Liang would be so honest the moment he stepped into the room. From the looks of it, he must have suffered a huge psychological burden before. That's why he confessed the problem so frankly after I came. Lu Wangli didn't use any of his psychological tactics, but the more he thought about it, the more Lu Wangli felt that there was more to this than met the eye. Out of sympathy for Pin Liang, the victim, Lu Wangli didn't want a high school student to become a prisoner. Perhaps there was something going on? According to him, this wasn't his original intention. What could it be? Zhong Pin Liang, I don't know what your intentions were, but now that you've admitted that you poisoned the cafeteria, do you know the consequences you'll have to bear? Intentional murder is not a small crime. Lu Wangli said with a serious expression. I didn't know it was poison. I really didn't know. I didn't want this to happen. I'm sorry. Pin Liang clutched at his hair painfully. You didn't know it was poison? Then why don't you tell me what happened? Lu Wangli frowned and asked. But if I tell you, you'll arrest my relative. I didn't know he gave me poison. Pin Liang looked like he was in a difficult position, but in fact he said all the important clues. Lu Wangli's eyes lit up. There was more to this. That meant that Pin Liang wasn't the mastermind, and according to the current situation, he was also a victim. So Lu Wangli said, Zhong Ping Liang, you have to tell the truth now. Otherwise, you'll be taking the blame for someone else, you know? If this matter really has nothing to do with you, considering that it's your first offense and that you're a patient now, you can atone for your crimes with good deeds. You can be given a lighter punishment or even be exempted from punishment. Pin Liang sighed and hesitated for a while. If you don't punish me, will you punish my relative? Will he be sentenced to death? If it really has nothing to do with you, your responsibility can be lightened or even exempted. But if your relative is the mastermind, then his crime will be heavy. As for whether he will be sentenced to death or not, it depends on his attitude of admitting his mistake and his motive. Of course, it still depends on the court's decision. Lu Wangli said, All right, you can find out even if I don't tell you. Pin Liang nodded and began to explain, Actually, this is what happened. I have to start from when my kidney was cut off. After my kidney was cut off, my classmates all laughed at me and looked at me weirdly. Some of them even said that I'm not a complete man anymore, that I'm a eunuch. Some even mocked me and said that I sold my kidney to buy an iPad. This made me lose all my face. I hate them. These people are too evil. They don't understand the pain in my heart. They don't know how inferior I feel. I hate them. And then, Lu Wangli nodded. He started to sympathize with Zhong Pingliang. He had already lost a kidney, and he was still being laughed at. No one would be able to take it. A while ago, I even paid for everyone to go to the beach, and what do they do to me? They mock me, and I hate them. I want to take revenge. Pin Liang couldn't hold back the anger in his eyes. Continue. How do you want to take revenge on them? Lu Wangli thought. Was this Pin Liang's motive for poisoning his kidney? I didn't know how to take revenge on them. At that time, a relative of mine came to visit me. I told him my idea. He said that he would help me come up with an idea. He said that he would take care of it all. So he helped me come up with a plan to trick them. He asked me to put laxatives in the food in the cafeteria. That way, when they go to the toilet during class, the school's toilets will be full and they will shit their pants. That way, they will lose all their face. They will know how painful it is to be mocked. I can laugh at them as much as I want. Laxatives? Lu Wangli frowned. If Pin Liang only put laxatives in the food, it wouldn't be considered a crime. As long as there weren't any serious consequences, it was just a prank. Chapter 683. Surrendering. I just wanted to teach them a lesson. I didn't want to send them to the hospital. The relative who gave me the idea was in the medical business, so I asked him to buy some laxatives for me. The laxatives he bought for you are the poison you put in the cafeteria? Lu Wangli nodded and continued asking. Yes, but he didn't say it was a poison, just a laxative. Pin Liang said. He said that the laxative was made up of 7 herbs, and the side effects were minimal, but it'd be a huge problem if everyone in the school got diarrhea. He said that only a few of the 7 herbs would cause diarrhea, and the effects would be different depending on the type of herb taken. That way, no one would suspect anything. Pin Liang said. That's right, Pin Liang. Lu Wangli nodded. If what Zhong Pingliang said was true, then he might have been used by his relative. After all, the idea and the laxatives were all provided by his relative. Zhong Pingliang was just a person who was tricked into carrying out the plan. From the fact that the relative gave Zhong Pingliang 7 herbs, it could be seen that the relative definitely didn't mistake the other herbs for laxatives. This kind of concoction was done deliberately and meticulously. And this Zhong Pingliang was really dumb. He just did what someone told him to do, and he took it seriously. What's your relative's name? Lu Wangli asked. Jin Maoxing, a distant relative of my uncle, Jin Gubong, Zhong Pingliang said. Lu Wangli nodded. Just as he was about to say something, the phone rang. Lu Wangli took it out and saw that it was a call from the team. So he quickly picked up the phone. I'm Lu Wangli, please speak. Captain Lu. A person called Jin Maoxing came to the police station to surrender. He said that he was the mastermind of the Songshan cafeteria poisoning case. The call was from one of Lu Wangli's subordinates. Oh, okay, I'll go right now. Lu Wangli thought to himself that this was really a coincidence. He had just gotten the name of the criminal suspect, and the other party had already surrendered. But this way, Lu Wangli didn't doubt Zhong Pingliang's words anymore. After hanging up, Lu Wangli turned to Zhong Pingliang. Zhong Pingliang, although you're a victim in this case, you're still responsible for it. Please don't leave Songshan for now until the case is over. All right, Pingliang nodded. I'll be staying in the hospital for a while. I won't wander around. You don't have to be afraid now. The kidney trafficking organization has been wiped out by the police, so you don't have to feel any psychological burden, Lu Wangli said. We hope that you can be a witness for the police. When the time comes, we can accuse the kidney trafficking organization. The kidney trafficking organization has been wiped out? Pingliang was shocked. He just got a kidney transplant at noon. How did he get wiped out so quickly? Wasn't the speed a little too fast? Pingliang lowered his voice. Say, I just got a kidney transplant this afternoon. Why did the police wipe them out so quickly? Did they wipe out Jiang Wen's headquarters? No way. So fast. That Jiang Wen is really unlucky, Fabai said with an indescribable joy in his heart. His son's kidney was removed. It wasn't as simple as returning one back. Now that his headquarters was wiped out, it was his punishment. But God bless House Zhong. They were wiped out right after you got a kidney transplant. You're really lucky. Chapter 684. Motive. Haha, that's true. Fabai thought about it carefully, and it was true. It seemed like House Zhong was going to prosper. Thus, the father and son laughed happily in the ward. After laughing for a while, Zhong Pingliang felt that something was wrong and quickly said, Dad, don't laugh. Lu Wangli said that he would send police to protect me. Don't let them see anything wrong. Fabai's smile stopped abruptly. He almost choked to death. After a while, he said, Why didn't you say so earlier? Jean Mouching had rehearsed many times, so when he arrived at the police station, he was familiar with the process and directly confessed the problem. As for why he surrendered, it was because he watched the TV and couldn't take the pressure anymore. His motive was actually very simple. It was a spur-of-the-moment idea. After listening to Zhong Pingliang's confession, he came up with this revenge plan on the spur of the moment. And the reason why he wanted revenge was because of something that happened a year ago. A year ago, Ji Mouching's family was very poor. He raised 2 children alone. The money he earned from selling herbs was not enough at all. His daily expenses were enough, but he still had to find wives for his 2 sons, right? Without a house and a car, who would follow you? So, Ji Mouching's mind became active. He wanted to do something himself. So he found his distant relative, Jean Gubong, and asked him to think of a way to help him. He contracted the cafeteria of a high school, which solved the urgent problem. The cafeteria was a money-making job. If it was done well, it wouldn't be a problem to make a few $100,000 a year. Jean Mouching thought that contracting a cafeteria shouldn't be difficult for Jean Gubong, the second largest shareholder of Pengzhan Industries. In fact, Jean Gubong didn't think it was difficult. Although he was a distant relative, they were still relatives with the same surname. If he could help, he would. It didn't take much effort. It was just a matter of moving his lips. However, he didn't expect that when Jean Gubong raised this suggestion at the board meeting, it was rejected by Pengzhan. The reason was very simple. The cafeteria of E High School had to be self-operated. This way, the freshness of the ingredients could be guaranteed, and it could also generate a lot of income for the school. Why not? Gubong was humiliated, and he hated Pengzhan to the core. However, he had always been planning to replace Pengzhan, so he didn't show it, only telling Jean Mouching what Pengzhan had said. Jean Mouching failed to contract the cafeteria, and he hated Pengzhan to the core. It wasn't like Pengzhan didn't want to pay the contract fee. They were self-employed, and they wouldn't earn much more than Pengzhan, so why couldn't he contract it? It wasn't like he had nothing to do with it. However, because Jean Gubong was still a shareholder of the group, although Jean Mouching was unhappy, he did not do anything else. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. Zhong Pingliang's confession reminded Jean Mouching of the hatred from a year ago. Now that Jean Gubong was no longer the chairman of the group, whatever Jean Mouching did wouldn't affect Jean Gubong anymore. Originally, he was angry because he failed to contract the cafeteria. So, Jean Mouching also set his sights on the school cafeteria. Aren't you self-employed? Then I'll let something happen to you. Let's see what the consequences of self-employment are. Of course, when Jean Mouching did this, he also considered the consequences. However, he remembered that the poison he used was learned from an old traditional Chinese medicine doctor when he was traveling in Jianghu to collect medicine. It was an ancient prescription that had been lost, and the concoction was complicated. It required 7 herbs to be present at the same time for the poison to be poisoned. The hospital and the police shouldn't be able to find such a special poison, so, in the end, he could only let it go. However, he didn't expect that Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company actually found it, and they even gave the poison formula to the police. This made Jean Mouching unable to sit still. He couldn't withstand the pressure, so he came to the police station to surrender. What Jean Mouching said was reasonable, and the reason for the crime was sufficient. The remaining 7 herbs were also found in his house, which allowed the police to close the case very quickly. As for Zhong Pingliang, Jean Mouching also made it very clear that he was just using him. It had nothing much to do with Zhong Pingliang. He would take responsibility for what he did, so he didn't want to punish Zhong Pingliang. Lu Wangli was originally full of sympathy for Zhong Pingliang. After a meeting and discussion, since Zhong Pingliang was a victim of the kidney trafficking company, the city was now weakening the influence of the kidney trafficking company on the people. It was not appropriate to publicize Zhong Pingliang's matter too openly. Zhong Pingliang was also bewitched by Jean Mouching and was deceived by Jean Mouching. He was also a victim, so he was exempted from criminal punishment, but he still needed to be criticized and educated. However, they didn't know if all the remaining members of the kidney trafficking company were caught. As a victim of the kidney trafficking company, the police still gave Zhong Pingliang the necessary protection measures while he was in the hospital. There were police officers guarding near Zhong Pingliang's ward 24 hours a day. The police needed the victim to testify in court against the crime of the criminal group and Zhong Pingliang. However, after the incident, Lu Wangli called Ding Binggong and talked about Zhong Pingliang's matter alone. Principal Ding, this student Zhong Pingliang is actually very pitiful. One of his kidneys was cut off. It's already tragic enough, and the students are laughing at him. This is not good for his psychological growth. Lu Wangli said, I suggest the school to organize a charity activity and visit Zhong Pingliang in the hospital together. Lu Wangli was doing his best for Zhong Pingliang. In order to prevent his psychological growth from being distorted, he made such a suggestion to the school. Ding Binggong naturally agreed immediately. After all, although the students' academic results were important, the students' psychological quality couldn't be ignored. Thus, the incident of the first high school students fainting together was considered to have temporarily come to an end. The first high school's reputation was basically restored, and they were just waiting for the police to hold a press conference to announce the truth of the matter. As for Tang Yin calling Lin Yi and asking Lin to save his love rival, Lu Xinwen and Kong Xiaobo were helpless. Since Tang Yin was willing, what else could they say? There was nothing going on in the afternoon, so Kong Mingming decided to bring Xiaofan to the hospital for a follow-up. Xiaofan's schizophrenia was obviously much better after a period of treatment. Ever since she met Kong Mingming, Xiaofan had completely lost confidence in Kong Mingming and removed his name from her heart. This was also what Kong Xiaobo was happy to see. Otherwise, Kong Xiaobo would always feel that he was a substitute for Kong Mingming. Chapter 685. Translator, Exodus Tales Editor. Exodus Tales, however, the doctors in the hospital had made it clear that Xiaofan's schizophrenia was mainly caused by her mental illness. She could only be cured by undoing the knot in her heart. The hospital could only control the madness during the illness, and the treatment wouldn't be effective. Kong Xiaobo's appearance gave Xiaofan's parents hope, but they were still worried. Although Kong Xiaobo liked their daughter, would Kong Xiaobo's parents be able to accept their daughter? Of course, everything would be fine if their daughter wasn't in trouble. Although their family wasn't rich, their daughter was beautiful. Kong Xiaobo's family wasn't rich either, so they could be considered a perfect match for each other. But now, not only did their daughter become a broken flower, she even had problems with her legs. Her mental health was better, but she still had a history of mental illness. Although this kind of mental illness formed from emotional trauma wouldn't be inherited, Kong Xiaobo's family might not think so. What if they objected? So, Xiaofan's family was worried, but there was nothing they could do. They could only hope that Kong Xiaobo could deal with it. However, Xiaofan's parents never expected that Kong Xiaobo would bring Xiaofan to Dr. Kang's birthday banquet. Not only did she meet Kong Mingming, but she also met Kong Xiaobo's parents. This put Xiaofan's parents in a perturbed mood. They were afraid that Kong Xiaobo's parents would come looking for them. They were afraid that Kong Xiaobo's parents would separate the two children. But after waiting for a few days, Kong Xiaobo's parents didn't come looking for them. On the contrary, Kong Xiaobo was still the same as before, visiting Xiaofan frequently. This made Xiaofan's parents feel relieved, and, at the same time, they were deeply grateful to Kong Xiaobo's parents. However, after asking his daughter about it, he realized that things were not as they had imagined. Kong Xiaobo's parents objected to them being together at first, but because of Lin Yi's help, Kong Xiaobo's parents finally agreed. There was no other reason. Lin Yi gave Kong Xiaobo a chance to stand out. It also gave Kong Xiaobo the confidence and capital to speak in front of his parents. After all, it could be said that Kong Xiaobo had already grown up and could take charge of things on his own. He would handle matters of the heart well. Xiaofan's parents were happy to see Kong Xiaobo, Tang Yun, and Lu Xinwen. However, they were curious. Don't you have school today? Why are you here so early? It's a school holiday, so I'm thinking of bringing Xiaofan to the hospital for a checkup. Kong Xiaobo smiled as he greeted Xiaofan's parents. I wanted to go to the hospital to see Uncle Tang too. I wanted to go for a long time, but my legs aren't convenient. My parents were worried about me, so I went by myself. Xiaofan heard Kong Xiaobo's suggestion and said happily. Xiaofan and Tang Yun were good friends since young. She often went to Tang Yun's house to eat, so she was familiar with Tang Yun's parents. Since Tang Juqing was hospitalized, she naturally had a visit. Yeah, we also want to see old Tang, but we don't know when Qibing Real Estate will come to demolish the house. We don't dare to leave, afraid that the bulldozers will come and destroy the house. Xiaofan's parents sighed. These people are too wicked. There's nothing we can do. It can't be, right? They dare to do that? Kong Xiaobo was shocked. What's wrong with that? They even dare to demolish Tang Yun's house when there's someone in it, let alone those without. Xiaofan's father said angrily. Old Nyo's house in the front yard was demolished by a bulldozer just because he went out. Now, he has no place to go, and his family doesn't even know where to live. They really dare to do that? Kong Xiaobo clenched his fist in anger, but he knew that he wasn't capable enough to change anything if only Boss was willing to do something about it. Wasn't it unbelievable that Lin Yi dared to push down Zhao Qibing's skyscraper and cripple Zhao Qibing without any repercussions? Wasn't it unbelievable? What he didn't understand was why Zhao Qibing didn't take revenge, bullying the weak and fearing the strong. In fact, what Kong Xiaobo didn't know was why Zhao Qibing didn't take revenge. He did take revenge on Pingzhan, but he didn't expect Lin Yi to resolve it. Forget it, we're just commoners. Those people are more powerful than the mafia. We don't dare to go against them. Xiaofan's father shook his head. How can Lin Yi take care of everything? Don't give him any more trouble. It wasn't that Xiaofan's parents didn't want Lin Yi to talk to Zhao Qibing and ask for more compensation, but why would Lin Yi help them? Lin Yi probably didn't care about the compensation. From the way he dealt with Zhao Qibing, it could be seen that he didn't lack money. He just wanted to vent his anger. Kong Xiaobo didn't dare to simply agree. He could only wait until he saw Lin Yi and talk to him. Although he didn't need Lin Yi to take care of everything, he still wanted to help Xiaofan's family. After all, she was his girlfriend, wasn't she? Kong Xiaobo brought Xiaofan, Tang Yun, and Lu Xinwen out of the slums. They stopped a taxi, and the four of them rushed to the hospital. Kong Xiaoming was shivering in the ice hockey rink. He didn't care about the people looking at him as if he was an idiot. Finally, he felt that he couldn't take it anymore. His body was hot and cold at the same time. Tears and snot flowed down his face. He almost fainted. He turned to Zhu Xiaozhong and asked, "Xiaozhong, can you check if I have a fever?" Zhu Xiaozhong quickly touched Kong Xiaoming's forehead and jumped in fright. "Master Ming, your head is so hot. You can boil water. Is that so? That's great, let's go." Kong Ming clenched his teeth and smiled bitterly. "Yeah, we finally did it." Wang Shubbing was happy as well. He felt cold even with his jacket on. He didn't want to stay here any longer. "Ha, I finally caught a cold." Kong Ming was in pain and happiness at the same time. He stood up, laughed, and staggered to the door. The people in the ice hockey rink were dumbfounded. Was this guy an idiot? He finally caught a cold? Did he come here to catch a cold? Could this guy be a mental patient? The girl who took pictures with her phone continued to record this scene. She was ready to upload it to the internet. This was a cold bro. Kong Ming, Zhu Xiaozhong, and Wang Shubbing left the ice hockey rink and drove the Porsche Cayenne back to the hospital. He was in a hurry to see Guan Xin. Chapter 686. Another failure. It wasn't easy for them to make it to the First People's Hospital. Wang Shubin and Zhu Xiaozhong also started sneezing, but it wasn't too serious. They supported Kong Xiaoming, who couldn't even stand up, into the hospital. They rushed to the floor where Guan Xin worked and found her in the nurse's office. Achoo! Kong Ming sneezed as soon as he entered the room. Guan Xin, who was preparing medicine, jumped in fright. She turned around and saw Kong Ming walking in with two other people supporting him. She was surprised. "Why are you here again?" "Guan Xin, I'm here to see a doctor." Kong Ming felt like he finally found a reason to talk to Guan Xin. He was excited. "I have a cold. Can you give me a shot?" "Did you register? Did you see a doctor? Do you have a doctor's advice?" Guan Xin furrowed her eyebrows. She didn't understand why Kong Xiaoming was so sick after going out for a walk. It seemed to be very serious. But whether he was sick or not, Guan Xin couldn't give him a shot. How could she give him a shot without a doctor's advice? I still need to see a doctor? Look at me. I'm going to die if I don't get a shot." Kong Ming was stunned. He suddenly remembered the procedure of going to the hospital to see a doctor. It was all his fault for having a fever. He was confused and his brain wasn't working. But why didn't Zhu Xiaozhong and Wang Shubbing remind him? They didn't have a fever. Why were they so stupid? He couldn't help but glare at Zhu Xiaozhong and Wang Shubbing. But in front of Guan Xin, Kong Ming couldn't scold them directly. This was Kong Ming's wish. Zhu Xiaozhong and Wang Shubbing were young masters. When they were in the capital, they didn't even need to register for a doctor, especially with Kong Ming's relationship with Dr. Kang's family. No matter which hospital they went to, they would have someone they knew. They could just find someone they knew to give them the shots and medicine. They didn't even need to register for a doctor. Nurse Guan Xin, Master Ming's condition is serious and urgent. We didn't have time to register. Why don't you see him first, and I'll go register?" Wang Shubbing quickly said. "Then you should go to the doctor too. Without a doctor's advice, I can't just use the medicine." Guan Xin said, "Since it's so serious, why don't you bring him to the doctor first?" "Ugh, actually it's like this. I don't know anyone in this hospital. I don't know anyone, and I'm afraid that they'll slander me." Kong Xiaoming suddenly had an idea. Look at how luxurious this hospital is. They must have taken a lot of money from the people. If I don't know anyone in this hospital, I wouldn't dare to do it. You're my only acquaintance. Please help me. Kong Ming was very proud of his wit. This reason was very reasonable. Nowadays, many newspapers and news were reporting on the shady dealings of the hospital. He wasn't spouting nonsense. It was also very reasonable. Just as Kong Ming was feeling good about himself, Guan Xion's face darkened. "Our hospital system is very clear, and we have a clear fee. We can't cheat you, and all of our doctors have medical licenses. There's no way they'll kill you." That's hard to say. Even if the price is clearly marked, there will still be under-the-table manipulation. Kong Ming's mind was still muddled, and he didn't notice Guan Xion's displeasure. He continued to speak in a self-righteous tone. "These hospital bosses are all black-hearted. I'm really worried about them. My dad's not evil. Guan Xan glared at Kong Ming Ming before turning around and ignoring him. Huh? Kong Ming Ming froze when he heard Guan Xian's words. Then, he suddenly realized what was going on. Guan Xian's father, Guan Xiaoxiang, was Guan Xueming's son, and Guan Xueming's youngest son, Guan Xian's father, was a shareholder of this hospital. It's over, it's really over. Wasn't he pointing at the mulberry tree and scolding the locust tree? Wouldn't Guan Xian hate him to death now? Last time, he called her grandfather a liar, and this time, her father a black-hearted boss. What the hell? Was there any way to salvage the situation? Kong Ming Ming almost fainted on the spot, not to mention the awkwardness. It seemed that the flu and fever were really harmful. If one's mind wasn't clear, one's words were easily incoherent. Guan Xian, don't be angry. That's not what I meant. I'm not saying that your dad is black-hearted. I'm just scared of some black-hearted businessmen. Kong Ming Ming quickly explained, I have a cold and a fever. My mind isn't clear, so I'm talking nonsense. You can't be calculative with a sick person, right? If you're sick, then go see the doctor. I need to work. Guan Xian understood Kong Ming Ming's thoughts. If it wasn't for the fact that Kong Ming Ming wanted to pursue her, he wouldn't have come to her. But Guan Xian didn't like him, so she wouldn't give him a chance. Kong Xiaoming didn't want to pester Guan Xian to accompany him anymore. He glanced at Wang Shubing and Zhu Xiaozhong, signaling them to bring him to the registration counter. After all, he could always ask Guan Xian for the injection after he got the doctor's order. Not long after Kong Ming Ming left, Kong Xiaobo came looking for him. Kong Xiaobo didn't know anyone in the hospital, so it was more convenient to bring Xiaofan to the doctor. He met Guan Xian through Linny last time, and he knew that she was Guan Xueming's granddaughter. Kong Xiaobo naturally had a good relationship with her. Guan Xian was also happy to be friends with Kong Xiaobo. Why? Guan Xian didn't know. Was it because he was Lin Yi's good friend? However, Guan Xian still felt a little awkward when she saw Tang Yun beside Kong Xiaobo. It seemed that her little thoughts didn't escape the beautiful girl's eyes. Guan Xian, I brought Xiaofan here for a follow-up. Are you busy? Can you take us there? Kong Xiaobo asked with a smile after entering the nurse's office. Of course, let me finish what I'm doing. Guan Xian was preparing some medicine for external injuries. She needed to send it to the ward, so she had to prepare it before she could do anything else. Then I'll have to trouble you. Kong Xiaobo nodded gratefully. Sometimes the doctor wouldn't be in the room, so if Kong Xiaobo brought Xiaofan to the doctor, he might not be able to find her. It's fine, what trouble? Guan Xian shook her head. You guys take a seat first. I still need to prepare for a while. Okay, you go ahead. Kong Xiaobo pulled Xiaofan to sit on the sofa, and Tang Yun was a little nervous. As a girl, her intuition told her that there was something between Lin Yi and Guan Xian. Chapter 687. Chapter 687. Spoiling a good thing as long as she didn't cross the line, she wouldn't care about her, right? From Tang Yun's point of view, her current love rival was Mississippi. As for Guan Xian, she didn't seem to be a love rival at all. Guan Xian prepared the medicine for a few rooms and personally delivered it over. She returned to the nurse's office and spoke to Kong Xiaobo and the others. I'm done. We can bring Xiaofan to the follow-up. All right, shall we go now? Kong Xiaobo stood up. No need. I'll bring Xiaofan there. You don't need to follow. Guan Xian didn't want Kong Xiaobo to follow. Xiaofan's mental illness was caused by another man, and the doctor might ask some sensitive questions during the follow-up. It would be awkward if Kong Xiaobo heard it. So Guan Xian decided not to bring Kong Xiaobo. That's fine. I'll have to trouble you then. Kong Xiaobo wasn't stupid. He could guess the situation from Guan Xian's expression, so he didn't insist. Xiaofan was grateful for Guan Xian's understanding. She actually didn't want Kong Xiaobo to follow because the doctor wanted to understand the whole situation. Sometimes, the questions would be awkward. They would even ask how many times she slept with Kong Ming Ming. It wasn't something that Kong Xiaobo should hear. Tang Yun could feel Guan Xian's understanding. It was hard for a girl like her to not attract boys, but what could she do? She couldn't ask Lin Yi not to meet her, could she? Tang Yun was conflicted. She finally fell in love with him, but why was it so bumpy? She thought that with her looks, it wouldn't be hard to find a boy who would treat her well wholeheartedly. She was satisfied that he treated her well, but the girls around him were all better than her. Some of them were even better than her. She didn't know how to deal with this at all. She had no experience at all. Tang Yin sighed softly as she watched Guan Xian leave. Why was she so unlucky? Her competitors were so strong. How could she feel at ease? Xinwen patted Tang Yun's shoulder, noticing her disappointment. What's wrong? You're conflicted again? When did I? How could Tang Yun admit it? How could she show weakness in front of her good friend? You're still denying it? Ever since I saw Guan Xian, I felt like something's wrong with you. Xinwen understood Tang Yun quite well. Speaking of which, Yin Yun, how far have you and Lenny progressed? Tell me the truth. How far can it go? We're just high school students, okay? At most, we'll hold hands, right? Tang Yin was a little shy, but she attributed the lack of progress between her and Lin Yi to the fact that she was still in school. High school? They've had sex since middle school, right? Are you okay, Yin Yin? Have you ever gone online before? A few days ago at Fatty Lai's house, you were talking so much, but it was all a lie. Xinwen was a little disappointed. Aren't they lying too? I don't believe that they dare to play 3P with Lin Yi. Tang Yin felt wronged. If it weren't for Meng Yao and Yushu, she wouldn't have said so many shameless things. I'm not sure about Meng Yao, but that Yushu, it's possible. She looks like she's eager to try. Xinwen was a good judge of character. I'm telling you, Yin Yin, you have to keep a close eye on Lin Yi, or you won't be able to find a place to cry. How can I stop him if he wants to be with someone else? Tang Yin shook her head. She was full of uncertainty about the future. I really don't know what to say. With your personality, you'll suffer sooner or later. You won't even know when they sleep with Lin Yi. Xinwen said helplessly. She was disappointed that Tang Yin didn't meet her expectations. What do I do if he wants to sleep with them? Tang Yin seemed to be asking Xinwen, but it also seemed like she was asking herself. But after asking, Tang Yin shook her head. She didn't want to think about it anymore. These things were too troublesome. Kong Xiaobo couldn't interrupt their conversation. He could only sit on the side and pretend he didn't hear anything. This was School Beauty Tang after all. Xiaobo had never thought that School Beauty Tang would be so worried about a man. His boss was too amazing. Zhu Xiaozhong helped Kong Mingming register downstairs and rush to the clinic. Wang Shubing and Kong Mingming were already waiting there. There were many people registering at this hospital, but Zhu Xiaozhong was amazing. He directly cut the queue. When people criticized him, he was arrogant enough to hit them. This made the people who criticized him shut up. After all, Zhu Xiaozhong was fat, big, and tall. Who would want to mess with him? If he wanted to cut the queue, then so be it. Zhu Xiaozhong didn't feel ashamed at all. Instead, he felt proud. He felt that this was the only way he could live up to his nickname of arrogant bro. Kong Mingming went to see the doctor. His illness was simple. It was a common cold caused by a cold. The doctor prescribed a medicine, but Kong Mingming insisted on staying in the hospital. Actually, he didn't have to stay in the hospital due to his illness, but the doctor saw that his fever was very serious, and he insisted on staying in the hospital, so he gave him 3 days of hospitalization. Kong Xiaoming looked very rich anyways, so the doctor didn't plan on saving money for him. Kong Mingming took the doctor's order and happily went to find Guan Xian for an injection. This caused Kong Mingming a lot of trouble. In fact, he could go to any general surgery nurse's duty room and treatment room with the doctor's order. But he was here for Guan Xian, so naturally, he wanted to find her. Master Ming, you have to hold on. We're almost at Guan Xian's floor. Hold on a little longer. Wang Shubing saw that Kong Mingming's legs were weak from the fever. He couldn't even walk properly, so he quickly cheered him on. Okay, I'll hold on. Kong Xiaoming gritted his teeth and insisted on going upstairs. Just as he was about to reach Guan Xian's nurse's room, he saw Guan Xian and another girl walking out from the nurse's room. The girl beside Guan Xian, however, made Kong Xiaoming freeze. He subconsciously stopped in his tracks. Master Ming, isn't that Xiao Fun? How come she's with Guan Xian? Zhu Xiaozhong also saw Xiao Fun and Guan Xian walk out together. He was a bit confused. Yeah, how does she know Guan Xian? Wang Shubing was also puzzled. Damn, I remember now. Kong Xiaobo seemed to know Guan Xueming last time. Then it's not strange that Xiaofan knows Guan Xueming's granddaughter. Kong Mingming's mind finally worked, but he guessed wrong. Xiaofan and Guan Xin didn't know each other through Guan Xueming. Makes sense. Zhu Xiaozhong nodded, but this is troublesome. Should we go or not? Chapter 688. A ticking time bomb. Master Ming, I don't think it's a problem if we go or not. It's already very troublesome. Wang Shubing shook his head and said seriously, Guan Xian and Xiao Fan know each other. This isn't easy. What do you mean? Even if she knows Guan Xian, she can't be with Guan Xian all the time. Can't she just avoid her? Kong Ming asked curiously. You can't just avoid her. Master Ming, think about it. What if Xiao Fan spouts nonsense and tells her about what happened between you two? Do you think Guan Xian's impression of you would be good? What chance do you have? Wang Shubing was indeed a schemer. He considered the problem from all angles. Kong Xiaoming frowned at Wang Shubing's words. He wasn't wrong. Xiaofan was like a ticking time bomb by Guan Xian's side. Who knew when it would explode with a bang and blow him up into a bloody mess? If that's the case, then this Xiaofan is indeed a big problem. Kong Ming hated Xiaofan. Why was this bitch so good at causing trouble? Ever since he met her again, things haven't been going well for the Kong family. Now that he was pursuing Guan Xian, he couldn't let Xiaofan ruin it. Thinking about this, Kong Ming's eyes flashed with a hint of ruthlessness. Should we find a chance to kill her? Kong Xiaoming may look like a playful young master on the surface, but he was a bad person at heart. He had done many things like murder and arson without batting an eyelid. When he was in middle school, he dared a plot to kill Xiaofan. Now he was even worse. I think it's a good idea. She's lucky that we didn't kill her last time. Now, she's not staying at home and acting like a mental patient. I think she's looking for death. Zhu Xiaozhong was also a ruthless person. He immediately agreed with Kong Ming's suggestion. I think we should forget about it. Wang Shubing hesitated. Killing her isn't a good idea. Wang Shubing, when did you become such a coward? Weren't you the one who found the car when we planned to kill Xiaofan? Zhu Xiaozhong looked at Wang Shubing strangely. Don't tell me you're getting more and more convoluted? Little Zhang, listen to what Wang Shubing has to say. Kong Ming still cared about Wang Shubing's suggestion. After all, Wang Shubing's brain wasn't bad. He must have his reasons for saying this. Young Master Ming, Kong Xiaobo's friend, Lin Yi, is a fucking lunatic, a complete violent maniac. Wang Shubin was a little scared. We all know that Tang Yin was injured by Zhao Qibing, right? On the day of Zhao Qibing's completion ceremony, Lin Yi demolished the skyscraper and broke Zhao Qibing's leg. Damn it, we'd better not provoke this kind of person. But Xiaofan isn't Tang Yin. How can Lin Yi handle this? Zhu Xiaozhong was a little scared, but he still tried to defend himself. Xiaofan is Kong Xiaobo's girlfriend now. If we kill her and it gets exposed, Kong Xiaobo will ask Lin Yi for revenge. It's better to be safe than sorry. If Lin Yi comes, we'll all be dead. Wang Shubing shook his head. That makes sense. Although Kong Ming was a bad person, he was afraid of death. When he heard that Lin Yi might come for revenge, he immediately gave up on the idea of killing Xiaofan. It was better not to provoke this kind of violent maniac. How did Lin Yi survive until now? Zhao Qibing seemed to have a lot of power. Why didn't he go after Lin Yi? That's why, young Master Ming, we need to discuss our strategy carefully. How can we solve this problem once and for all? Wang Shubing said. Then what should I do now? Kong Ming suddenly thought of a very serious problem. When he saw Xiaofan, he almost forgot that he had a cold. We can only find another nurse now. Guan Xian is out of the question. Wang Shubing said helplessly. Damn, I caught a cold for nothing. Kong Xiaoming almost fainted on the spot. He had endured so much pain and almost died. It was only with great difficulty that he managed to catch a cold, but now he couldn't get Guan Xian to give him an injection. Young Master Ming, you have to think about it this way. If Xiaofan came when we were looking for Guan Xian, wouldn't we be exposed? Wang Shubing comforted. If that happens, we'll still be able to benefit from a disaster. Now that you put it that way, is it? Kong Mingming thought about it carefully. It was true. He should be happy. If Guan Xian hadn't rejected him and had given him the shot, wouldn't he have been exposed in a heartbeat? Thinking about this, Kong Mingming was happy again. It seemed like God was supporting him in pursuing Xiao Fun. With Wang Shubing and Zhu Xiaozhang accompanying him, Kong Mingming came to a general surgery treatment room. He gave the doctor's advice to a young and beautiful nurse. Kong Mingming thought that even if he didn't have Guan Xian to give him the injection, it would be good to find a beautiful girl. Big eyes, an oval face, and skin that glowed like a spirit. Kong Mingming drooled when he saw her. It was a uniform temptation. Such a beautiful girl. It would be a waste for her to be a nurse here. Kong Xiaoming's mind started to move. He had flirted with a lot of girls in the past few years, but there weren't many of the best quality ones. Xiaofan was one of the top quality ones. If it wasn't for the fact that she was too infatuated with him and wanted to marry him, Kong Xiaoming wouldn't have dumped her so quickly. However, in Kong Mingming's eyes, the nurse in front of him was of the highest quality. She was much better than Xiao Fun. Although she wasn't that tall, she was just right. The key was her figure. Even the white gown couldn't hide her exquisite figure. Kong Mingming's LSD was acting up again. However, when he thought about how his main task was to flirt with Guan Xian, Kong Mingming became discouraged again. He could only give up on this beautiful nurse. However, Guan Xian was also of the highest quality, so it wasn't too bad. Just as Kong Mingming passed the doctor's advice to the nurse, she turned around and passed it to a tall and sturdy woman. Nurse Wang, there's a patient. Oh, okay. The sturdy woman called Nurse Wang took the doctor's advice and looked at Kong Mingming. It's a cold. First do an allergy test, then give it a muscle injection. If there's nothing else, you can start the drip. You're going to give it to me? Kong Mingming saw that the sturdy woman was about to give him the injection. He was a bit anxious. He was looking for a beautiful nurse. Why was it a sturdy woman? Chapter 689. Not dead yet, I want her to do it for me. Kong Mingming pointed at the beautiful nurse and said, Oh, then let her do it for you. The woman put down her work and walked out of the treatment room. Seeing Kong Mingming's lecherous look, she was annoyed. Did this guy come to the hospital for treatment or to look at beauties? What the hell? How dare he let someone else do it? I hope it won't kill you. Kong Mingming saw that the nurse agreed and was overjoyed. He said to the beautiful nurse, Why don't you do it for me? It's my first day here. I can't do it. The beautiful nurse waved her hands. But seeing Kong Mingming's pleading eyes, she said, Why don't I try? If it can't go in, I can do it a few more times. Kong Mingming was hoping that the nurse would do it for him. But when he heard what the nurse said, his heart went cold. First day here? Trying to prick it? What kind of joke was this? He was not a test subject. What if he died? What's wrong? The beautiful nurse looked at Kong Mingming strangely. No, nothing. I'll go and find Nurse Wang. Although Kong Mingming was a bit lascivious, he would never joke around with his life for a girl. But Nurse Wang went to the inpatient department. She won't be back for a while. The beautiful nurse looked at Kong Mingming with a troubled expression. Why don't I try it for you? Is that all right? My technique is still very good, and I practiced on dead people before. No need. Kong Mingming was shocked. What the hell? You practiced on dead people before. If I let you do it, I'll probably become a dead person too. This beautiful nurse looked very beautiful with big eyes and big breasts, but she was a tiger. Was she not afraid of stabbing people to death? How could she give injections a try? Kong Mingming didn't want to be killed, so he quickly stood up and forced a smile. There's no need. Is there another treatment room nearby? Oh, there is. Turn left and take the elevator. It's on the second floor underground. The beautiful nurse thought for a moment and said, But it's a little far. You look like you're going to faint. Shall I give you an injection? There's no need. I'm very awake. I won't faint for a while. Kong Mingming waved his hand and left the nurse's treatment room with Wang Shubing and Zhu Xiaozhang. They ran in the direction of the elevator, cursing as they ran. What kind of bullsh*t hospital was this? The intern nurses were too immoral. How dare they use patients for experiments? Young Master Ming, can you do it? Should we rest for a bit? Wang Shubing saw that Kong Ming Ming's head was heavy, so he quickly asked, I'm fine. Let's go get the injection. If I knew this would happen, I would have asked that tough lady to do it for me. I'm so fucking unlucky. Kong Ming Ming thought that he was unlucky every time he met Xiao Fan. It seemed like it was true. The three of them entered the elevator. The lady in charge of the elevator looked at Kong Ming Ming and asked, Which floor do we go to? This is the staircase downstairs. Let's go downstairs too, to the second floor underground. Wang Shubing said to the lady. In his heart, he thought, what kind of plan is this hospital? The treatment rooms aren't all together. They're all over the place, and this one is in the basement. The lady looked at the three of them strangely, but she still pressed the button for the second floor underground. When the elevator reached the first floor, everyone on the elevator went down. Only Kong Ming Ming and the other two were left. Kong Ming Ming felt strange. Why didn't anyone go to the basement? When the elevator reached the second floor underground, the elevator door opened. Wang Shubing and Zhu Xiaozhang helped Kong Ming Ming out of the elevator. They couldn't help but feel a wave of cold air hit them in the face. The three of them couldn't help but shiver. What entered their nostrils was the smell of decay and medicine. The light in the corridor was very dim. Fuck, what the hell is this place? How come there's no one here? Kong Ming Ming couldn't help but curse. Wang Shubing also felt strange. When he raised his head, he was shocked. He subconsciously took 2 steps back. He was still supporting Kong Ming Ming. When he stepped back, Kong Ming Ming couldn't help but stumble. Kong Ming Ming couldn't help but curse. What are you doing? Do you want to kill me? Master Ming, here. Zhu Xiaozhang raised his head and also noticed something was wrong. Only Kong Ming Ming couldn't lift his head. What's wrong? If you have something to say, spit it out. Kong Ming Ming said impatiently. Hurry up and look, where can I get an injection? Master Ming, you can't get an injection here. Zhu Xiaozhang said. Can't get an injection? Kong Ming Ming was stunned. What do you mean? This is the place to give injections to the dead. Zhu Xiaozhang pointed in front of them and said in a panic, Master Ming, this is the morgue. What? Kong Ming Ming heard Zhu Xiaozhang's words and suddenly jumped. He raised his head and looked. Wasn't that right? The words morgue were written in big letters. Under the dim light of the corridor, it looked especially eerie. Kacha! Just as the three of them were panicking, a sound came from the door of the morgue. Run! Kong Ming Ming also forgot that he was a patient. He didn't know where he got the strength to turn around and rush out of the elevator. He madly pressed the elevator button, but the elevator had already gone up more than 10 floors. It would take a while for the elevator to descend. Wang Shubing and Zhu Xiaozhang were also nervous. Although they reminded themselves in their hearts, how could there be a ghost in broad daylight? However, the atmosphere here was indeed eerie. It made their hearts beat faster for no reason. The door of the morgue slowly opened, and a morgue cart slowly slid out from the small door of the morgue. Kong Ming Ming heard the sound and turned around. He suddenly fainted. His body was already weak, and with the addition of fright, how could he stand it? On the other hand, Wang Shubing and Zhu Xiaozhang, although scared, were relieved when they saw what was behind the morgue cart. A little old man was pushing the mortuary cart towards the elevator. The lights were dim, and the old man was short. Naturally, people would think that the mortuary cart was moving on its own. The old man also saw Wang Shubing and Zhu Xiaozhang, but when he saw Kong Ming Ming on the ground, he immediately asked, Another one died? Why did you guys send him here yourself? Where's the doctor? Chapter 690. Change your name. Okay. Wrong direction? The old man shook his head and ignored the three of them. He continued to wait for the elevator. Kong Xiaoming fainted on the spot. He didn't know what fear was, but Zhu Xiaozhang and Wang Shubin were scared out of their wits. They were standing next to a corpse. How could they not be scared? After Kong Ming Ming and the other two left, the beautiful nurse took out 3 big wallets from her white coat and opened them. She couldn't help but smile instantly, and her eyes curved into the shape of a crescent moon. I didn't expect these 3 perverts to be so rich. Oomph. This is what you get for being lecherous. I'll send you to the morgue." The beautiful nurse quickly took out the money from the wallet and put it in her pocket. Then she threw the 3 wallets out of the window. After a while, Nurse Wang came back with a swaddle in her hand. Seeing that Kong Ming Ming and the other 2 people were gone, she asked curiously, "Where are they?" Nurse Wang saw that Kong Ming Ming was a little unreliable, so she wanted to teach him a lesson. Anyway, he wouldn't die from a cold, so she deliberately went out to do other things. She planned to give them an injection when she came back, but when she came back, she found that Kong Ming Ming was gone. Maybe he couldn't wait and went to another place to get an injection. The beautiful nurse pretended not to know. She skipped over and took the swaddle from Nurse Wang's hands. She looked at it and said, "Wow, it's a cute princess." Yeah, these parents are really cruel. They just left him in the hospital. The parents also left a fake name. The police can't find any information. Nurse Wang sighed. "It's all thanks to your orphanage. Otherwise, I don't know what to do with the abandoned babies in the hospital. They value men more than women." The baby girl in the beautiful nurse's hands seemed to be able to understand words. Hearing that her parents didn't want her, she couldn't help but cry. The beautiful nurse hurriedly coaxed the child. Don't cry, little baby. Big sister Xiaoke will take you to your new home. There are many big brothers and sisters, little darling. Big sister Xiaoke will buy milk powder for you later." The beautiful nurse's voice was very pleasant, as if she was born to coax these children. When the baby girl heard the beautiful nurse's words, she stopped crying. The beautiful nurse shook her eyebrows for a while, and the baby girl fell into a deep sleep. Xiaoke, head nurse son from the obstetrics and gynecology department, is on leave today, so you don't have to look for her. Why don't you just take the child home? The procedures are here. I've already done it for you. Nurse Wang handed a folder to the beautiful nurse. Thank you, Nurse Wang. Then I'll go first. The beautiful nurse took the child's file and thanked him with a smile. What are you thanking me for? Our hospital has to thank you. Otherwise, we don't know what to do with these children. Nurse Wang waved her hand. Then I'll go first. The beautiful nurse took off her white coat and returned it to Nurse Wang. Here, the air conditioning in this room is quite cold. I'm used to a house without air conditioning, so I'm really not used to it. Nurse Wang shook her head, took the white coat, and sent the beautiful nurse away. Lenny left the hospital, stopped the taxi, and went back to the villa first. There was nothing to do in the hospital. Miss probably didn't want to see him now. After all, the situation before was too embarrassing. He was a little regretful. It would have been better to find a random male student to force the poison out. However, he didn't have full confidence that he could concoct the antidote for the poison. He couldn't take the risk. If he had to choose again, he would still save Miss first. As for whether the others could be cured or not, it really didn't have much to do with Lin Yi. Deadly 7 herbs poison, a poison that had been lost in history, actually appeared here. Although Lin Yi didn't say anything when he was in the hospital, he had to report this news to the old man as soon as possible. There was still someone who knew about this poison. Which faction sent him here? This incident was obviously not random. It was premeditated. Was it targeted at Chu Pengzhan or Meng Yao? Lin Yi didn't know about these. He had to ask Ling Shan to know the details. He could call Ling Shan in the car, but calling the old man was a bit secretive. He had to go home first. Miss Braindead, is there any result on the poisoning? He called Ling Shan. Ling Shan was so angry that she clenched her teeth. Why did he call her Miss Braindead again? She thought he stopped calling her that. This title doesn't sound good, okay? Although Ling Shan tried very hard to treat it as a nickname or pet name that Lenny called her, she couldn't do it. Lenny, we're already like this. Can you not call me Miss Braindead in the future? Ling Shan wanted to protest, but she had to think of a countermeasure. Protesting directly to Lin Yi obviously wouldn't work, but Ling Shan knew that Lin Yi's weakness was soft-heartedness. If you said it nicely, it might work. Okay, then what should I call you? Tigress? Lin Yi asked. Yeah, you can call her Lil Song Girl or Cute Girl, that's fine too. Tigress Girl sounds too bad. Ling Shan realized that Lin Yi was more interested in the XX Girl combination and didn't dare change it too much. She suggested 2 nicknames that she could accept. Oh, then I'll call you Little Dumb Girl. Lin, he didn't take Ling Shan's answer. Okay. Ling Shan gritted her teeth. Little dumb girl it is. At least it sounded better than Miss Braindead, right? Although the meaning was similar, it didn't sound as insulting. Things had to be done step by step, didn't they? Rome wasn't built in a day. Ling Shan felt that if she worked hard, she could definitely become cute girl or something. Ling Shan couldn't help but feel disgusted by her own thoughts. Was she a bitch? Satisfied just like that? And she was hoping that Lin, you would call her cute girl? If this matter were to spread out, how could anyone live? But, other than being a little angry, Ling Shan didn't feel any repulsion at all. Little dumb girl, is there any result for the poisoning? Linny asked. Chapter 691. Chapter 691. The Hidden Family, however. Ling Shan didn't know that Lin Yi was the one who discovered the poison, and Miracle Dr. Wan's medical company was just a spokesperson. Zhong Pingliang. Lin Yi paused. How did this have anything to do with Zhong Pingliang? This kid had lost his kidney, and he still came out to poison people? Yes, but Zhong Pingliang is also a victim. We decided to exempt him from punishment. Of course, I don't agree with it personally, but I can't decide the final result, Ling Shan said faintly. She didn't have a good impression of Fabai and his son, but I heard that there are people protecting Zhong Pingliang from above. I think he's been hanging out with Zhao Qibing recently. I understand. Lin Yi finally understood who was the mastermind behind this. If there were no accidents, it should be Zhao Qibing, and other than Uncle Zhu, there were other masters behind him. Is there anything else? I help you. Aren't you going to treat Miss Braindead for a meal? Ling Shan had gotten used to calling herself Miss Braindead in front of Lin Yi, and she almost said it out loud. What was wrong with her mouth? She wanted to be Miss Braindead? You got it wrong, right? Lin Yi realized that Ling Shan and the Miss were two different types of people. They'd both had their bodies seen, and they'd both seen embarrassing things, but Ling Shan had gotten a lot closer to him all of a sudden, while the Miss was a lot colder. Then I can treat you, Ling Shan said. Come to my house next Saturday. I don't have time, Lin Yi said faintly, rejecting her directly. Lin Yi felt that Miss Song was very pretty and very seductive. It would be nice to have something happen with her, right? But the consequences. He was already annoyed enough right now. If she got closer to him, he wouldn't be able to do anything else if she came looking for him. Oh, next time then. Ling Shan was a little disappointed. Lin Yi really didn't seem to be interested in her at all. Her seduction had failed. Lin Yi's guess was right. Ling Shan really did see Lin Yi as a sucker. She'd already seen it, and she'd gotten the short end of the stick. There was nothing she could do about it, so she might as well ask Lin Yi for help. Ling Shan wanted Lin Yi to solve all the cases in the police force, like the burglary group, the motorcycle gang, and so on. These organizations have been around for a long time, and it was hard to take them all out at once. But Ling Shan still had some hopes. His current momentum was very good. If he continued to develop like this, it would not be a dream to be promoted to bureau chief. How long had he been in office? He had solved so many big cases in a row. The current Ling Shan was much more at ease than before. She thought that since she'd been seen by Lin Yi, she could be considered Lin Yi's girl. He'd help her solve the cases. What burden would she have? Lin Yi hung up the phone, feeling a bit of a headache. He'd saved Ling Shan, and now this Miss Song had learned how to pester him endlessly. She was much smarter than before. After returning to the villa, Lin Yi called Old Lin. There was no one in the villa, so Lin Yi didn't need to hide from anyone. Old man, someone used deadly 7 herbs poison here. Oh, Old Lin paused. After a while, he asked, Are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. I tasted it. Lin Yi said. Could it be that those people came out again? Old Lin said uncertainly. Who? Lin Yi asked. People from the hidden house. Old Lin said. Hidden house. I've heard of the 4 big and 5 small noble houses, but I've never heard of any hidden house. What do they do? Lin Yi paused. The 4 big and 5 small noble houses are just some noble houses that formed later in the common world. They can't be compared to the hidden houses at all. Old Lin said, but I don't know much about the hidden houses. Your master knows more than me, because he was one of the people involved back then. According to the agreement from more than 10 years ago, some ancient martial arts houses need to live in seclusion. Otherwise, their appearance will destroy a lot of the current order. Oh, my master? Lin Yi paused. He didn't expect his master to be related to the hidden houses. Among these hidden houses, there's a medical family, Yunan's Houseu. Although they're proficient in medicine, they're best at using it to harm people. They're also very good at goo. Old Lin said, but according to the agreement, Houseu doesn't allow their disciples to walk in the common world. They can only serve the big and hidden houses. You're saying that this house knows the recipe of deadly 7 herbs poison? Lin Yi asked with a frown. It's possible, but I'm not sure. Old Lin said, you should pay attention to this matter first, but don't worry about it. With your current strength, you can't reach that level. They don't dare to violate the agreement from back then. Otherwise, your master wouldn't be able to ignore it. Okay, I got it. Since Old Lin had said so, Lin Yi naturally wouldn't continue asking. Although his current strength was enough to roam the common world, he wouldn't be able to do anything to those hidden monsters. Is there anything else? All right, I've already given the medicine you asked they're going to get, but this kid is busy with spring plowing. He'll have to wait for a few days. Old Lin said. This is not urgent. Lin Yi said, oh right, do you know about the Wanyankin box? Lin Yi suddenly remembered the Wanyankin box he got at the auction, but he didn't know what it was used for. After coming back from the auction, he had been busy with all kinds of things. He also forgot about the box until now. Wanyankin box? I've heard of this before. There's an introduction in an ancient book at home. Old Lin thought about it and said, why do you ask? I think I have one with me. Lin Yi said, what? Old Lin was shocked. You have it. How did you get it? You actually have something that can only appear in ancient books? I got it by chance at an auction. Lin Yi didn't expect Old Lin to have such a big reaction. Could it be that this Wanyankin box was really special? So he asked, old man, is this thing good? How can it not be good when it's mentioned in ancient books? Old Lin asked back, oh, then this Wanyankin box, what is it used for? Lin Yi's curiosity was also piqued, and he quickly asked, I really don't know what it's used for. Old Lin changed the topic. Huh. Lin Yi was stunned. He didn't expect Old Lin to answer like this. He couldn't help but be surprised. You don't know? Chapter 692. Chapter 692, Female Cat Burglar Yu Xiaoka. Lin Yi was speechless. Then why are you so surprised? I thought it was something good. It's natural to be surprised. How can I not be surprised if you can get something from an ancient book? Old Lin rolled his eyes and retorted, also, how could something mentioned in the ancient book not be good? But even if it's good, the book didn't mention how to use it. It only mentioned that it's similar to a fresh-keeping container. It can keep medicine from going bad for 10,000 years. But it definitely has more than one function. It's just lost. This? Lin Yi rolled his eyes. Then you didn't say anything. I'll research it myself. Lin Yi hung up the phone. He didn't know what to say. Old Lin's words had no value at all. It made Lin Yi very distressed. It was like getting a high-level magical weapon in a game, but he didn't know how to use it. He was happy, but he couldn't open it. Fortunately, reality wasn't a game. He didn't need to worry about the space in his backpack. He could store some junk. Lin Yi put the Wanyankin box and the 2 pieces of the map into the drawer. Since they were useless now, Lin Yi could only see them as junk. After calling Old Lin, Lin Yi called Tang Yun. Hello. Tang Yun was waiting for Fun in the nurse's room when her phone rang. Tang Yun looked at the caller ID and was instantly happy. Lin Yi, where are you? Is Meng Yao okay? Tang Yun didn't know why, but the first thing she asked was Meng Yao. Was she really worried about Meng Yao, or was she worried about whether Lin Yi and Meng Yao were together now? Tang Yun didn't know herself. She's fine now. Lin Yi didn't know how to explain it to Tang Yun. Although it was to save Meng Yao, it was still an awkward scene. I'm at home. She's still in the hospital. Oh. Tang Yun let out a sigh of relief. She was afraid that Meng Yao would use some unorthodox methods to compete with her. For example, she could ask Lin Yi to stay by her side while she was sick. She could say that she needed protection during her illness. Tang Yin didn't have any complaints about that. Where are you? Linny asked. I'm in the hospital with Xiao Fun. Guan Xin brought her there, Tang Yin said. I'll go look for you. Lin he didn't know if Tang Yin did it on purpose or not. But Lin he didn't know how to respond when Guan Xin was mentioned. That's fine too. Tang he nodded. My mom wanted to talk to you about buying a house. You can't stay in the hospital forever, can you? My dad's leg is almost healed. The doctor said that he only needs to rest at home. Okay, I'll go now. Lin he didn't have anything to do anyway. He hung up and left the villa. But he remembered that he'd left his car at the food street behind the school. He'd left with Jiang Wen's car in the afternoon, and he'd taken a taxi to get here. It was unnecessary to go to the school to get his car. Tang Yin already knew about his relationship with the Mississippi Lin he drove Yushu's yellow Beetle. Lin he had just parked the car in the parking lot of the Songshan First People's Hospital when a middle-aged beggar with a cane came up to him. Young man, do me a favor and give me some money. As soon as the beggar came up, he began to talk incessantly. My leg was injured when I was working at the construction site. The black-hearted contractor didn't give me a single cent, so I can only rely on begging to save up for medical expenses. Do me a favor, I won't mind 100 or 2. 100 or 2 wasn't mind a favor. Lin he couldn't help but be amused. This beggar's appetite was too big. 100 or 2. Wasn't he afraid of biting his tongue? If he'd only asked for 8 or 10 kwai, Linny might have just given him some change and sent him on his way, but this beggar was crossing the line. Naturally, Lin he was getting annoyed. He looked at the beggar faintly and said one word. Scram. But the beggar didn't leave. Instead, he blocked the front of Lin Yi's car and refused to leave. If you don't give me money, I'll keep sitting here. Don't leave today. I'm a disabled man. What's there to be afraid of? Don't come back if you can. Ha! Lin he laughed at the beggar's stubbornness. He took out the silver needle box from his pocket and opened it. He looked at the beggar and said faintly, Your leg is broken? It's just right. I'll help you cure it. As Lin he said this, he took out a silver needle and was about to stab the beggar. The beggar was shocked. He didn't expect Lin he to carry silver needles with him. He was a little timid. He looked at Lin he with hatred, turned around, and quickly left with his cane. Lin he sneered and put away the silver needle box. To deal with this kind of person, he naturally had to be more domineering than them. Lin he locked the car and was about to walk into the hospital, but he was stopped by a girl. Lin he frowned. The girl was pretty, with an oval face, big eyes, and arched eyebrows. She looked a bit like a girl from a romance novel, but her expression wasn't very pleasant. It was as if she was going to eat Linny alive. Her eyebrows were filled with anger, as if he owed her a lot of money. Hey, why are you like this? Don't you have any sympathy? He's a disabled man. Okay. Not only did you not pay, but you scared him away with a weapon? Yu Xiaoko was angry, really angry. She hated rich and heartless people like Lin Yi the most. He drove such a good car, but he didn't have the slightest bit of sympathy. Not only did he not pay, he even threatened the beggar with a weapon. He was so wicked to a certain extent. With a weapon, Lin Yi was slightly stunned. He then remembered the silver needle in his hand. It seemed that this brave girl had misunderstood him. However, Lin Yi was too lazy to explain to her. He shook his head and turned to leave. Hey, I'm talking to you. Yu Xiaoko was even more angry. She grabbed Lin Yi's clothes and didn't let him leave. The person in front of her not only didn't know how to repent, but also ignored her words. He looked like he didn't care. If she didn't teach him a lesson today, how could she face herself? This rich and heartless fat sheep. If she didn't make a move, then even the heavens would blame her. Say what? That beggar? Lin Yi frowned. If you pity him, then give him money. Chapter 693. I want to challenge you, of course. I'll give him the money now. Xiaoka ignored Lin Yi and ran to the beggar. With her back facing Lin Yi, she took out a wallet and gave 100 yuan to the beggar. The beggar's eyes lit up as he thanked her. Xiaoka, on the other hand, left the hospital in a flash. I'm making money. I'm making money. I don't even know how to spend it. I'll buy a Nokia with my left hand, a Motorola with my right. Xiaoka sang happily as she counted the money in her wallet. 3,000 yuan for a beetle? It wasn't even as good as the 3 perverts she met at noon, but Xiaoke was still happy. She earned 3,000 yuan in a blink of an eye, especially after teaching that heartless, rich young master a lesson. Bang! Xiaoke suddenly bumped into someone, scaring her. It was her fault for being too engrossed, counting money as she walked without looking at the road. Xiaoke said subconsciously, "Sorry, I didn't see the road. I'll help you if you don't know how to spend it." Lin Yi blocked Xiaoke's path. Xiaoke froze and raised her head. She didn't expect it to be that rich young master from before. "You? Why are you here? You're quite rich, aren't you?" Lin Yi took out a lady's wallet and looked at the money in it. 10,000 yuan? Quite a lot, huh? Xiaoke was shocked when she saw the wallet in Lin Yi's hand. She subconsciously touched her pocket, but her face paled when she touched it. My wallet? Why is it here?" "Oh, I thought you wanted to use your big wallet to exchange for my small wallet." Lin Yi said faintly. "No wonder you gave 100 yuan to a scammer. You had too much money to burn." You're lying. When did I give money to a scammer?" Xiaoke glared at Lin Yi. "The beggar from before was a liar," Lin Yi said mockingly. "His leg isn't lame at all. It's fine. He's healthier than you." Lin Yi was proficient in the art of medicine. Naturally, he could tell whether the beggar was really lame or not at first glance. When Lin Yi wanted to treat the beggar, not only did the beggar not stay, but he also ran away, which naturally explained the problem. "What evidence do you have?" Xiaoke frowned after hearing Lin Yi's words. She was not stupid. She often committed crimes in this area. She had seen the beggar more than once or twice, but she did not think much about it before. But today, after thinking about it carefully, the beggar had been begging here for at least half a year. The money he asked for was already enough to see a doctor. Why didn't he go to see a doctor, but continued to beg? But Xiaoke didn't want to admit her mistakes, especially in front of Lin Yi. "This scoundrel who stole my wallet. I'm too lazy to talk to you about this." Lin Yi snatched his wallet from Xiaoke's hand. "With your skills, you still dare to come out to steal? Go back and train for a few years before coming out to embarrass yourself." She was a girl, so Lin Yi was too lazy to argue with her. As for her wallet, Lin Yi decided to confiscate it to teach her a lesson. "You, don't go." Xiaoke panicked. Not only did Lin Yi steal her earnings today, but he also humiliated her skills. Xiaoke had always thought of herself as the #1 thief, but Lin Yi didn't just steal her wallet. He even told her to go home and practice for a few more years. This was a blatant provocation. Xiaoke had always thought of herself as the #1 thief. Lin Yi naturally ignored her. He still needed to go to the hospital. How could he waste time with this female thief? "I want to challenge you. As the 46th generation disciple of the Fian sect, how could Xiaoke let Lin Yi go? This guy dared to look down on a disciple of the Fian sect. How could Xiaoke tolerate it? She was only 18 years old. She was young and full of vigor. Naturally, she wouldn't admit defeat. Regarding the Fian sect, see Very Pure, Very Ambiguous Prequel, also known as Rebirth Chasing Beauty. Challenge? Challenge what? Lin Yi looked at Xiaoke. He felt that this girl was a little crazy. This thief was too much. She didn't want to escape after he saw her. Instead, she wanted to challenge him. If she met the police, she'd be in jail already. Of course, it's the art of stealing. Xiaoke puffed out her chest and stared at her big wallet in Lin Yi's hand. "If it's chest, I can consider it. But I'm sorry, I'm not interested in stealing." Lin Yi looked at Xiaoke's chest lecherously. It wasn't very big, but it was very firm. It seemed that she exercised a lot, so her chest muscles were quite developed. Xiaoke was going crazy. She had been in the business for so long, but she had never been robbed by someone. Today was the first time. This made her angry, but at the same time, she felt humiliated. She was the heir of the Fian sect. The Fian sect was the #1 thief sect in the world. How could she lose to someone else? Plus, Xiaoke didn't think that it was because she wasn't as skilled as Lin Yi, but because she was too excited when counting the money and bumped into Lin Yi, giving him the chance to steal her wallet. In fact, Lin Yi had already stolen her wallet when she stole it. It was just that she didn't feel it. Lin Yi ignored her and turned to leave. Lin, he felt that there was something wrong with this girl's head. With this kind of mentality, she still came out to be a thief and challenged others. Seeing that Lin, he was ignoring her, Xiaoka gritted her teeth in anger, but there was nothing she could do. This was the first time Xiaoka encountered something like this, and she didn't know what to do. Seeing that Lin, he was leaving, she followed him. Even if Lin, he didn't want to compete with her, she still had to get her wallet back. That was the biggest reward of the month. How could she let it be taken away so easily? Xiaoka wasn't willing. Lin, he didn't think that Xiaoka would follow him. This made Lin not know whether to laugh or cry. At the same time, he felt that Xiaoka really wasn't suited to be a thief. To be a thief to this extent, she was really stupid. If he went to the police station, would she follow him? Xiaoka followed Lin Yi. She was confident in her qigong. The Fian sect was famous for their qigong. Although she wasn't very skilled, she wasn't slow. From her point of view, following Lin Yi was a piece of cake. She was looking for a suitable opportunity to steal all of Lin Yi's wallet. However, at the corner of a street, Xiaoka froze, because Lin Yi was gone. Chapter 694. I'm so pissed. You're looking for me? Lin Yi's voice came from behind Xiaoka. Xiaoka jumped in fright and shivered, her scalp tingling. How did this person appear behind her without a sound? Why are you behind me? Xiaoka turned around and looked at Lin Yi cautiously. Was this person a ghost? Didn't you ask me? Lin Yi asked. You. Xiaoka glared at Lin Yi, not knowing what to say. You want to learn how to stalk with that level of skill? Go home and rest. This world is actually very dangerous. It's unbelievable that someone like you could survive until now. Lin Yi looked at Xiaoka sympathetically. He was a decent person. If it was someone else, Xiaoka wouldn't even be able to find a place to cry. You're the unbelievable one. Xiaoka looked at Lin Yi angrily. Hey, are you in the same trade? Xiaoka felt that Lin Yi might be in the same trade. Otherwise, how could he be so good at stealing and be so elusive? Maybe you can be in the same trade if you practice for a few more years. Lin Yi smiled. Since you're so good, then accept my challenge. Xiaoka tried to provoke him. Hey, are you afraid of losing? That's why you don't dare to accept my challenge? Whatever you think. Lin Yi shrugged. Don't follow me. You can't keep up with me. Xiaoka really didn't know what to do. Facing someone like Lin Yi who wouldn't budge, what could she do? She gritted her teeth, unwilling to give up. Then can you give me back my wallet? Oh, I'll give it to you. I don't have much use for it anyway. Lin Yi agreed readily. Xiaoka was overjoyed. She was about to thank him when she saw her wallet flying towards her. She quickly caught it, but when he took a look, he was dumbfounded because his wallet was empty. There was not a dime left of his 10,000 yuan. Hey, where's my money? Xiaoka felt like she was being played. You only asked for your wallet, not your money? Lin Yi smiled and quickly left. Remember my words. Go back and train for a few years before coming out. Otherwise, you'll be finished sooner or later. Also, it's hard for me to understand. Are you really compassionate, or are you trying to steal my wallet by accusing me? I don't like the way you do things. I'm so mad. How infuriating. Xiaoka looked at Lin Yi's back and stomped her feet as if she wanted to crush Lin. I'll stomp you to death. I'll stomp you to death. That's what you get for acting tough in front of me. That's what you get for looking down on me. That's what you get for... my leg. Xiaoka stepped on a stone and almost fractured her foot. Lin Yi turned a corner and returned to the hospital. The beggar was still begging there. When he saw Lin Yi, his eyes avoided eye contact. However, Lin Yi didn't want to do anything to the beggar. Whether he was lying or not had nothing to do with him. In the nurse's room upstairs, Lin Yi saw Tang Yan. Xiaofan and Guan Xian had just returned from the consultation. Guan Xian saw Lin Yi and blushed. She wanted to say something, but she held it back when she saw Tang Yan. On the other hand, Lin Yi took the initiative to greet Guan Xian. Xian, how's Xiaofan's illness? Actually, Lin Yi could see that Xiaofan's spirit was much better. Her illness came from her heart. Now that the knot in her heart was untied, it wasn't a big problem anymore. It was just that the side effects from before still needed to be controlled with medication. It's nothing. The doctor said that if the illness doesn't act up again, you don't need to come to the hospital anymore. Guan Xian shook her head. Sorry to trouble you. Linny nodded. I saw Grandpa Guan today, but it was a bit rushed. I'll visit another day. Guan Xian nodded. She wanted to say that she wanted to cook for Lin Yi, but Tang Yun was also there. She didn't want to say it directly. She was afraid that Tang Yun would misunderstand. She hesitated and said, Tang Yun, why don't you come as well? I'll cook for you guys. I won't be going. I've been quite busy recently. I don't know what to do now that my house is gone. Tang Yun was a bit embarrassed to go. It seemed like she didn't trust Lin Yi. Wouldn't that make her look petty? Tang Yun replied to Guan Xian's invitation, but I've troubled you a lot with Xiaofan and my father. I should treat you. When my house is settled, I'll cook for you. Sure. Guan Xian agreed with a smile. As they were talking, someone called Guan Xian at the door. Guan Xian went to work while Lin Yi and Tang Yun went to Tang Juqing's ward. Kong Xiaobo, Xiaofan, and Lu Xinwen left first. They knew that Tang Yun's family was looking for Lin Yi to discuss about the house. It wasn't appropriate for them to participate. Uncle Tang, how do you feel? Lin Yi saw that Tang Juqing could walk with the help of the crutches. His recovery was quite fast. Not bad. He's much stronger than the last time. Your Chinese medicine is very effective. Even the doctors in the hospital were surprised. Tang Juqing smiled, but they asked me for the Chinese medicine prescription. I didn't give it to them. I said that I bought it with money and I don't have the prescription. Lin Yi nodded. It seemed that Tang Juqing wasn't a stubborn person. He was quite smart. He knew that the prescription was very valuable and couldn't be given away easily. This kind of medicine that could accelerate bone growth could be mass-produced. The economic benefits wouldn't be small. Don't give them the prescription. If anyone asks, just tell them that Professor Guan made it for you. They won't ask anymore. Lin Yi found a shield for Tang Juqing. In the medical system, Guan Shuimin's prestige was irreplaceable. Right, Uncle Tang and Wang? I heard from Tang Yun that you were looking for me. Yeah, Lily. I was thinking about looking for you to see if we could buy a house. It's not good for us to stay in a hospital. The hospital fees are more expensive than a hotel. It's not worth it. Although Mrs. Tang didn't pay for it, she still felt bad. Wouldn't it be better if Lin Yi gave it to her? That's true. The hospital isn't as good as our home. Lin Yi nodded. He didn't think about it before. Lin Yi didn't have a place to live. He was used to this kind of wandering life. However, Tang Yun's family was different. They were ordinary people. They didn't feel comfortable without a home. Chapter 695. Special Offer Room. What about the demolition at Shantytown? Is there any movement? Lin Yi didn't pay attention to Master Bing's movements these few days. He only heard that he was rebuilding Qi Bing's skyscraper again. This time, he found a very efficient construction company, and the framework was already up. Of course, although Lin Yi destroyed his house and broke his leg, his business still had to continue. The slums still had to be demolished, but Lin Yi didn't know if he learned his lesson. They said that they're going to have a meeting with everyone to discuss the compensation. After what happened last time, they'll probably increase the price a little, but it won't be too high. Mrs. Tang sighed. Our house is gone. We'll just have to compensate as much as we can. I don't want to think about that anymore. Now that I think about it, should I rent a house or buy one? Lin Yi couldn't interfere with the compensation. He couldn't go to Zhao Qibing again and force him to compensate Mrs. Tang. Could he? He destroyed one of his skyscrapers, so they were barely even. He would let him go for now. If Zhao Qibing knew what Lin Yi was thinking, he'd probably vomit blood in anger. A skyscraper for a broken house, and it was barely enough? Wasn't this too much of a scam? Let's buy one. Renting isn't a solution. Lin Yi thought that buying a house was better than renting one. Buy a house. Mrs. Tang's heart ached. Tang Juqing and Tang Yun also wanted to buy a house. Now that they had the 500,000 from Lin Yi and some money from before, it was more than enough to buy a big house. But Mrs. Tang didn't want to spend all the money in one go. If that happened, the family would have no savings and the feeling of being rich would be gone again. How could Lin Yi not know what Mrs. Tang was thinking when he saw her pained expression? He smiled faintly. Aunt Wang, I know a friend. He used to be in the real estate business, so he should know a lot of developers. I'll give him a call and see if there are any special offer rooms. All right, that's great. Can you help me ask? Mrs. Tang's greedy personality had not changed at all. When she heard that Lin Yi could get a special price house, she immediately perked up. Actually, even if Lin Yi couldn't get a special price house, Mrs. Tang would still agree to buy a house under Tang Juqing and Tang Yun's insistence. But now that Lin Yi could use his connections to save some money, why not? Mrs. Tang was very happy that she wanted to talk to Lin instead of foolishly running off to buy a house. Wouldn't that be a huge loss? Lin Yi gave Fatty Lai a call. Fatty Lai was in a state of extreme excitement. The press conference was very successful, and he believed that there wouldn't be any more advertisements before the products hit the market. With all these media reports, it would be hard for Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company not to be famous. After all, the fainting incident in the first high school was heavily hyped up by Direwolf. The number of comments on the internet was calculated in units of hundreds of millions. All the netizens in the country were paying attention to this matter. Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company solved the fainting incident at the most crucial moment and formulated the corresponding antidote. This kind of reaction speed was enough to make them look down on everyone. By then, Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company's name would be spread all over the internet. Boss, Fatty Lai picked up the phone. I heard that your press conference was quite successful. Although Lin he didn't see it himself, he heard the taxi drivers talking about it on the way here. They said how amazing Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company was. Even the hospital couldn't cure the disease, but they cured it. If it wasn't for Boss's powerful prescription, everything I did would be in vain. Fatty Lai's mind was still very clear. He didn't get complacent because of it. He understood that everything was because of Lin Yi's prescription and antidote. If it wasn't for these two, people would have to believe him no matter how much he boasted. You've done very well. Lin Yi praised him. All right, how's the preparation of the antidote? The raw materials have been purchased, and it's already on the production line. Elder Guan is there to check, so there shouldn't be a problem, Fatty Lai said. And let me ask you something. Do you know anyone who is selling houses? Lin Yi asked. Selling houses? Why, boss, you want to buy a house? Fatty Lai was stunned and asked. It's Tang Yun's house. Didn't Zhao Qibing destroy the slums? I'm planning to buy a house now. Do you know any developers who are doing promotions or selling houses at special prices? Lin Yi's question was vague, but he believed that with Fatty Lai's intelligence, he would be able to understand Lin Yi's meaning. Indeed, Fatty Lai understood. From the moment he heard that Tang Yun's family wanted to buy a house, he understood Lin Yi's meaning. Fatty Lai used to be in the real estate business. He had a few buildings in Songshan, and some of them were unsold or kept for his own use. Lin Yi couldn't directly tell Tang Yun's family that he wanted to buy a house. With Tang Yun's personality, she would definitely reject it. Mrs. Tang would definitely stay, and there would be some conflict between the mother and daughter. That was the case with the 500,000 yuan from before. Tang Yun always wanted to return it to Lin Yi, but Mrs. Tang wouldn't take it out. So Lin Yi thought of an idea. He wanted Fatty Lai to find an excuse to sell the house to Mrs. Tang at a low price. That way, Mrs. Tang would benefit from it and Tang Yun wouldn't suspect anything. Oh, there really is. Fatty Lai thought about it and said, just tell Annie to contact me directly. I'll take care of it. Lin Yi smiled. Fatty Lai's ability to understand was quite good. He smiled and said, there is? All right, I'll tell Annie Wong to contact you. Mrs. Tang looked at Lin Yi eagerly. When she heard Lin Yi say there was, her eyes lit up and she almost laughed out loud. She didn't have much money on hand, so she wanted to save as much as possible. Is there? Annie Wong, my friend said that there really is a house with a special price promotion. You can contact him directly. Lin Yi smiled. That's great. I'll go check it out tomorrow. Mrs. Tang was also in a hurry to move. She couldn't find a suitable house before, but it was actually a cheap house. Nowadays, housing prices weren't cheap. If she could get a special price house, it would be a great deal. Lin Yi told Mrs. Tang about Fatty Lai's contact. Tang Yun frowned slightly. She was a little suspicious. How could it be such a coincidence? Their family was just about to buy a house, and Lin Yi could find someone to buy a special price house. But she couldn't ask in front of her mother, so she could only keep her doubts in her heart. There were police guards at the door. Some people were happy, while others were sad. Chapter 696. Visiting Jangwen, on the other hand, didn't think the same. He was so worried that his hair was turning white. There were policemen guarding the door, and it was impossible to call the tattooed guy or Zhong Pingliang. He didn't bring his phone with him, and he was afraid that the police would find out if he used the ward phone. The kidney trafficking organization that he worked so hard for was wiped out by the police just like that. Jiang Wen was in a lot of pain, but that wasn't the most painful thing. The most painful thing was that one of his kidneys had been cut off, and if he wasn't mistaken, that kidney should be in Zhong Pingliang's body. Jiang Wen didn't want to lose a kidney. He wanted to find Zhong Pingliang and get his kidney back, but he didn't dare to do so. Although a kidney was important, it was nothing compared to his life. If the police found out that he was the head of the kidney trafficking organization, what awaited him wouldn't just be jail time. He might even be executed. And so, Jiang Wen was stuck in a dilemma. All he could do was stay in the room, depressed. The police came to see him, and he had to pretend to be the victim, looking pitiful and pained. In truth, he was in pain, but he didn't expose himself. But he didn't hide his identity. Jiang Wen wanted to make up a name, but it would be harder to explain if the police found out. He might as well tell them his real name. It would be safer. But what Jiang Wen didn't expect was that two acquaintances came to visit him. Chen Yutian didn't expect Lingshan to call him. This made him excited, but at the same time, he was surprised. Why was Lingshan calling him? Lingshan didn't expect that Lu Wanli's victim list would include Jiang Wen, one of the famous songs Han, Four Young Masters. Of course, Lingshan didn't have a good impression of a playboy like this at all. This was also why she didn't like Chen Yutian at all. He only knew how to use his family background to bully others and act cool outside. What was left after he left his family's power? Although Chen Yutian had changed a lot these few years, Lingshan still didn't have any feelings for him. Their relationship was only slightly better than before. They could be considered as normal friends. So since they were normal friends, Lingshan still needed to inform Chen Yutian when something happened to Jiang Wen. Plus, as much as she hated Jiang Wen was one of the more important people in the city. She had to pay him a visit. Lingshan called Yutian to visit Jiang Wen at the hospital. No matter what, Yutian was very happy that Lingshan asked him out alone. However, Chen Yutian felt strange that Jiang Wen had one of his kidneys cut off by a kidney trafficking organization. Especially when he was drinking yesterday, he was fine. But today he was in the hospital. This made Chen Yutian feel miserable. Lingshan was cold the whole way, her face cool and emotionless. Yutian had a lot of things he wanted to say, but he didn't know where to start. He tried to say something that didn't hurt, but Lingshan just ignored him. Yutian could only smile bitterly. From the looks of it, he really didn't have a big chance. Lingshan's words, in particular, made Yutian give up completely. He felt that he had no hope in this life. I've broken through the middle phase of the golden class into the late phase. What's your strength now? Lingshan thanked Lin Yi from the bottom of her heart. If it wasn't for Lin Yi, she wouldn't have been able to break through. What else could Yutian do other than smile bitterly? He had just broken through to the early phase of the golden class. He wasn't even at the peak of the early phase, let alone the middle phase. The difference between him and Lingshan was like heaven and earth. Chen Yutian, I hope you can face yourself. The difference between us is too big. We're not suitable. Lingshan knew what Yutian was thinking, but she didn't expect him to still be thinking about her after so many years. Not suitable. Yutian sighed. Lingshan wasn't giving him a chance at all. You think you can beat me? Lingshan raised her head and stared at Yutian. I told you before, I don't like men who are weaker than me. When have you ever been strong in front of me? Not even once. You're always this weak, asking if I have time or not, asking if I have a chance. Look at what you've done. If you really have the strength, why don't you show it to me? Strong. Chen Yutian sighed once more. Can I be strong? You're a late phase, and I'm only an early phase. How am I supposed to be strong? Didn't you send me flying with one kick? Lingshan shook her head at Yutian's silence. Yu Qian was weaker than her, but he didn't have the heart to be strong. He didn't even dare think about it. Ling Shan couldn't accept this kind of personality at all. Even if she did, she'd probably be laughed at when she brought him back to the songhouse. People who didn't know better would think that she'd found a man who married into her family. If it were Lin Yi, he'd probably explode already. But if it were Lin Yi, would she dare ask him a stupid question like, "Can you beat me?" It seemed like she didn't dare to. Lin Yi would definitely return the Miss Braindead nickname to her. Ling Shan felt wronged in her heart. She was such a strong person. How could she not have any temper after being stepped on by Lin Yi? Forget it. She still needed him to solve the case. Ling Shan comforted herself. Jiang Wen looked at Ling Shan and Yu Qian, who suddenly appeared in the ward. His heart was filled with despair. It seemed like the police outside didn't lie to him. The kidney trafficking organization was really done for. Otherwise, Ling Shan wouldn't be standing here unscathed. But luckily, Ling Shan didn't know that he was the head of the kidney trafficking organization. Otherwise, he wouldn't be lying in the hospital now. Jiang Wen, what happened to you? Why did you encounter something like this? Chen Yutian felt that this was unbelievable. The kidney trafficking organization wouldn't choose a young master like Jiang Wen who drove a sports car when they chose their target, right? Weren't they afraid that things would get out of hand? Chapter 697. The Urge to Die, I See. Yu Qian started to sympathize with Jiang Wen. His relationship failed, and his kidney was cut off. One could imagine the pain in his heart. He turned to Ling Shan. Did you catch the culprit? The mastermind, the tattooed guy, has been caught, but the surgeon committed suicide, Ling Shan said faintly. Ling Shan said faintly. I wonder if there's any hidden profit chain behind this criminal organization? The police are investigating further. What Ling Shan said was information that could be obtained from the official channels. However, Jiang Wen was lying in the hospital room, so naturally, he didn't know much about these things. When he heard that the tattooed guy had been arrested and that the main surgeon had committed suicide, he felt dizzy. His own kidney trafficking company. The surgeon committed suicide. What was he going to do? He was still hoping that the surgeon could get his kidney back. Now it was all over. Even if he found Zhong Pingliang, he wouldn't be able to find a surgeon to do it. Which hospital would do it for him? He couldn't tell the police. Otherwise, the police would ask him how he knew that Zhong Pingliang's kidney was his. Yu Qian saw Jiang Wen's unnatural expression and thought that he was reminiscing about the past. He quickly comforted him. Jiang Wen, bro, I'm sorry for your loss. Luckily, you only lost one kidney. Your life is not in danger. Think of a way to get a kidney transplant in the future. Jiang Wen could only smile bitterly. It wasn't just because he lost one kidney. He knew where his kidney was, but he couldn't get it back. This was the most painful thing. Plus, his kidney trafficking organization was his blood, sweat, and tears. Jiang Wen, don't worry. The police will give you justice. The criminal has been arrested. We hope that you can testify in court. Ling Shan came as a representative of the police. She didn't like Jiang Wen, but he was still a victim. There were some things she had to say. All right, Jiang Wen's heart was bleeding. He had to testify against his own criminal organization. Was there anyone else like her in the world? But Jiang Wen didn't have a choice. He was afraid that Ling Shan would suspect him, so he could only nod reluctantly. I'll be a witness. Jiang Wen, bro, how about this? I'll call little Shu and see if she's with Yao Yao. I'll ask them to come and see you too. Chen Yuqian saw how pitiful Jiang Wen was and felt pity for him. He thought that if Meng Yao came to visit Jiang Wen, maybe Jiang Wen would feel better. Jiang Wen was overjoyed. Chen Yuqian knew him the best. As expected of one of the 4 young masters of Mount Songzhan. You really are good to me. Meng Yao would sympathize with me if she saw me like this, wouldn't she? At that time, the girl's maternal instincts would come out, and I might even have a chance. Meng Yao may be cold, but she had a kind heart. Jiang Wen knew that. Otherwise, she wouldn't have asked Lin Yi to save him at the amusement park. As a result, Jiang Wen approved of Meng Yao coming to see him, but he was a little wary of Yushu. That girl was a pure troublemaker who loved to see the world in chaos. He reckoned that she'd probably clap her hands if she saw him in this state, wishing that he'd die. But what Yushu thought had nothing to do with Jiang Wen. Jiang Wen didn't like Yushu, and he didn't want a girl like her even if she threw herself at him. He wouldn't be able to live if he brought her back home. She might even castrate him in the middle of the night. So Jiang Wen always kept his distance from Yushu. He didn't want to mess with her, but he couldn't offend her either. After all, she was Ming Yao's best friend. Then I'll have to trouble you. Yuqian bro, a friend in need is a friend indeed. Jiang Wen was touched. Yuqian cared for him like this even when he was injured. It made him feel good. Yuqian called his sister Yushu. Yushu had just returned to the ward with Ming Yao. She held Ming Yao's hand and looked at the serious expression on Ming Yao's face. She giggled. Yao sis, what's wrong? Why do you look so unhappy? You should be very happy that you escaped death. You should be very happy that you survived. Look at me. Every time I play Super Mario Bros. Wii with you, I'll cheer when I meet a boss and survive. Ming Yao glared at Yushu. How can this be the same as a game? Besides, you're happy that Lenny saw you? Oh, but I'm not unhappy. So what if he saw me? I'll marry him in the future. Won't he see me too? When we played 3P together, we saw everything. Yushu counted with her fingers. It's just a little earlier. So what? Ming Yao rolled her eyes. She realized that she couldn't communicate with Yushu. She didn't know if this girl had the concept of chastity in her head. She acted like nothing had happened after Lin Yi saw her. She was living happily every day, happier than anyone else. Truly, fortune favors fools. Fools wouldn't think so much about gains and losses. When did I say I'm marrying him? Ming Yao humphed. No, you and Lin have to keep it a secret, or else I won't be able to get married in the future. Oh, don't worry. Only the three of us will know. We won't let outsiders see or talk about our things. Yushu nodded. Ming Yao was speechless. She realized that Yushu didn't seem to understand her at all. Or was she purposely not understanding? Ming Yao suddenly realized that her best friend's brain was very strong. When she wanted to understand, her reaction was faster than anyone else's. But when she didn't want to understand, it was useless no matter what you said. Don't talk about this anymore. Ming Yao could only take a step back and warned Yushu. Okay, I won't talk about it anymore. Yushu nodded. Yao sis, what are we going to do now? It's so boring in the hospital. I don't want to stay here anymore. The smell of disinfectant is making me dizzy. Chapter 698. Super good news. Where do you want to go? Ming Yao asked. Why don't we go home and play hide and seek? Yushu suggested. Hide and seek? Are you in heat? Do you want to be sandwiched by the fence again and let Lin Yi touch your boobs? Ming Yao rejected Yushu's suggestion. There was only so much space in the house. It was fine to play hide and seek occasionally, but it was boring to play it often. All right. What do you want to play then? Yushu changed the topic, not even blushing as if Ming Yao wasn't talking about her at all. How would I know? Why don't we go home and play video games? Ming Yao wanted to play games after hearing Yushu talking about video games. Okay. Yushu nodded. She liked to play anything. As they were talking, Yushu's phone rang. Yushu looked at the caller ID and saw that it was her brother. She quickly picked it up. Bro. Shu, where are you? Yuqian's voice came from the other side of the phone. Yao sis and I are at the hospital. Bro, what's up? Yushu said, if you're free, come and play games with us. Yuqian was taken aback when Yushu said that they were in the hospital. He thought that they were sick, but since Yushu said that they were playing games, it was obvious that they were fine. He didn't ask further and said, Jiang Wen drank last night and fell asleep on the road. One of his kidneys was cut off by the criminals. If you and Yao are free, why don't you come and see him? We're at Songshan's First People's Hospital, 3rd Inpatient Department, room 218. Holy shit. Yushu's eyes widened and she clapped her hands. Yao sis, let me tell you some super good news. Jiang Wen's kidney was cut off, just like Zhong Pingliang. Your pursuers are so pitiful. All of them had their kidneys cut off. Yuqian was speechless. This girl of his was too fierce. Even if she didn't like Jiang Wen, she didn't have to cheer like that, right? If Jiang Wen heard it, wouldn't he be pissed to death? Luckily, he was far away and Jiang Wen couldn't hear the conversation. Jiang Wen, his kidney was removed? Ming Yao paused. She didn't look as happy as Yushu, but but she didn't look sad, either. Jiang Wen and her were drifting apart, and they weren't the big brother next door anymore. Meng Yao shook her head. As expected, people couldn't go back to the past when they grew up. Shu, you and Yao Yao should come take a look, right? No matter what, Jiang Wen is a friend from the past. We have a good relationship. Yu Qian said. Oh, okay. Yao Yao and I don't have anything to do anymore. We can go visit him. It'll be fun. Yushu agreed after some thought. Chen Yuqian didn't know what to say. Fun. Jiang Wen losing one of his kidneys? Was that fun? However, Chen Yuqian couldn't do anything about this weird sister of his. The old man spoiled her and treated her like the treasure of the family. From a certain angle, his sister was indeed very cute. Yao Yao sis, we have a place to play now. Let's go visit Jiang Wen in the hospital. His kidney was cut off. It's so fun. Yushu hung up and said to Meng Yao, do you think it was Shield Bro who did it? Lin Yi? Meng Yao was startled. Could it be Lin Yi? Why did Lin Yi cut off Jiang Wen's kidney? Was it because Jiang Wen wanted to chase her and confess to her during dinner yesterday? It didn't seem possible. Lin, you didn't even like her. Why would he cut off Jiang Wen's kidney? It might be possible if she ordered him to do it, but she didn't order him to do it. Meng Yao and Yushu told Pengzhan that they were going to visit Jiang Wen in Songshan's Songshan First Hospital. Pengzhan was worried about the two of them going out alone. After all, the coma incident had just ended. Pengzhan was like a frightened bird. He asked Faubert to send them off. In the car, Yushu called Lin Yi. Shield Bro, where are you? I'm at Songshan's Songshan First Hospital. Lin Yi picked up Yushu's call in front of Tang Yin. Since Tang Yin already knew about his relationship with Meng Yao and Yushu, there was no need to hide it anymore. Oh, that's perfect. Yao Yao and I are going to visit Jiang Wen at Songshan Songshan First Hospital. You can come with us? Yushu said happily when she heard that Lin Yi was going to Songshan First Hospital. Visit Jiang Wen? Lin Yi was startled. He thought that this kid's kidney was cut off. Didn't that mean that his kidney was given to Zhong Pingliang? Would that be a match? Yeah, Jiang Wen's kidney was cut off, Yushu said happily. Come and protect us? What if Jiang Wen goes crazy and beats me and Yao Yao sis up? Lin Yi was speechless. Jiang Wen's kidney was cut off. How would he have the strength to beat people up? Beat them up? However, Lin Yi knew Yushu's personality. He said, okay, call me when you arrive. Okay, we'll be there soon. Just wait for us at the entrance of the third hospital. Yushu said. After Yushu hung up, Lin Yi saw Tang Yin looking at him. He smiled. Meng Yao and Yushu are here. They're going to visit a patient. They asked me to go with them. Oh, go then. There's nothing else here. Tang Yin wanted to go shopping with Lin Yi after leaving the hospital. The weather was getting hotter and hotter. Tang Yin wanted to buy a pair of shorts. She wanted to go to the night market, but she couldn't do that today. If there's something else, I'll come back later. Lin Yi saw that Tang Yin wanted to say something, but stopped. It seemed like she had something to tell him. Okay, let's see the time. Tang Yin said happily. Lin Yi said goodbye to Mr. Tang and Mrs. Tang before leaving for the third hospital department. He saw Li Fu's Bentley at the bottom of the building, arriving just in time to see Li Fu's car. Meng Yao and Yushu got off the car hand in hand. Yushu waved at Lin Yi. Miss only glanced at Lin Yi indifferently as a greeting. Lin Yi knew what Miss was thinking. He didn't want to argue with her. He smiled. You're visiting a patient. Don't you want to bring some gifts? Oh, we need to celebrate. I'll go buy some firecrackers. Yushu thought for a while and said seriously. Chapter 699. Angered again. You're right. Let's have a big meal to celebrate later. Yushu nodded, giving up on the idea of buying firecrackers. The three of them entered the first inpatient department and went up to the second floor. When they arrived at the door of room 218, they saw a policeman patrolling nearby. Seeing that the three of them were about to enter the ward, someone immediately stopped them. May I ask who you are looking for? Yu Qian came with Ling Shan, so naturally, the police let them pass. But Lin Yi, Meng Yao, and Yushu, although they looked harmless, couldn't be taken lightly. We're here to see Jiang Wen, Lin Yi said. He didn't expect Jiang Wen to be protected by the police. Jiang Wen is one of the victims we're protecting. May I know your names? I'll have to ask for the names of the victims and their superior. The police officer said. Who's your superior? Ling Shan or Lu Wangli? Lenny didn't expect it to be so troublesome to look after Jiang Wen. You know Captain Song and Captain Lu? The police officer paused. Captain Song is inside. Wait a moment. I'll go get her. After hearing that Lin Yi not only knew Lu Wangli, but also Ling Shan, the police officer didn't dare to delay and went into the room after informing Lin Yi. Captain Song, someone wants to see Jiang Wen, and he knows you. The police officer reported. Knows me? Ling Shan paused. I'll go take a look. Ling Shan saw Lin Yi, Meng Yao, and Yushu when she came out of the room. Ling Shan was curious about Lin Yi visiting Jiang Wen. Did Lin Yi know Jiang Wen? Lin Yi. Ling Shan looked at Lin Yi, her expression a little unnatural because Meng Yao and Yushu were there too. But she recovered quickly. What was there to be afraid of? They weren't Lin Yi's girlfriends. What did her relationship with Lin Yi have to do with them? Why is Jiang Wen being protected? Lin Yi asked. He's one of the victims of the kidney trafficking organization. We need him to testify, Ling Shan said. Do you know him? Yes, but not close. Lin Yi shrugged, finding it funny. Jiang Wen testifying against his own organization? Although Jiang Wen was the mastermind, all the evidence had been erased. Lin Yi didn't want to waste time talking to Ling Shan. Ling Shan nodded and followed Lin Yi into the room. She looked like a bully, not daring to pass Lin Yi. No one else noticed this detail, not even Meng Yao and Yushu. Yu Tian, on the other hand, didn't think much about it. He didn't believe that Ling Shan would get bullied at all. Shu Yao Yao, Lin Yi, you're here. Yu Tian said Lin Yi's name unnaturally. He respected Lin Yi very much. He called Lin Yi Instructor Eagle instead of Lin Yi's name. Yushu looked at her brother and then at Ling Shan. Her face fell. She couldn't understand why her brother was so stubborn. Ling Shan obviously didn't like him, and he was still chasing after her. How embarrassing. Ling Shan, this fox, was also a troublemaker. She should be taught a lesson. Yushu's eyes lit up. She had an idea. Jiang Wen was overjoyed to see Meng Yao. Yushu, on the other hand, was automatically ignored by Jiang Wen. But when he saw Lin Yi behind Yushu, his face froze up. Lin Yi knew that he was the head of the kidney trafficking organization. He was going to remove Lin Yi's kidney this morning, but it turned out to be him. However, Lin Yi hated him. Could it be that Lin Yi saved Ling Shan? With that thought, Jiang Wen's hatred for Lin Yi grew even thicker, and so did his fear. He was afraid that Lin Yi would reveal his identity to Ling Shan, and he was angry that Lin Yi ruined his hard work. However, he didn't consider that if he didn't capture Lin Yi and Ling Shan, his kidney trafficking organization wouldn't be destroyed so quickly. Jiang Wen thought about it carefully and let out a breath of relief. So what if Lin Yi told Ling Shan? There was no evidence. The tattooed guy would definitely hold on and wouldn't sell him out. The only person who knew his identity, Dr. Wang, had committed suicide. Who else could prove that he was the head of the kidney trafficking organization? Even if he refused to admit it, Ling Shan wouldn't be able to do anything to him. People from House and weren't easy to bully. He believed that Ling Shan wouldn't dare to do anything to him without evidence. Jiang Wen felt relieved after thinking about this. He pretended to be fake and said, Linny bro, you are here too? You still remember me at this time? I will treat you to a meal when I recover. Jiang Wen had to do this to maintain his image in Meng Yao's heart. Otherwise, Meng Yao would think that he was a narrow-minded person. Oh, Jiang Wen bro, you lost a kidney. Can you still recover? You won't die, right? Yushu didn't wait for Lin Yi to speak and spoke first. Why? Jiang Wen was stunned. His face turned red from Yushu's words. He cursed in his heart. Motherfucker, would you die if you lost a kidney? Can't you not piss me off? However, Jiang Wen didn't dare to scold Yushu. He didn't dare to offend House Chun. Plus, Chen Yuqian was in the ward. Plus, Yushu was Meng Yao's best friend. If he scolded her, he wouldn't be able to recover. Shu, don't talk nonsense. Losing a kidney will only affect your health. You won't die. Chen Yuqian couldn't do anything to his sister. He could only explain to her. Oh, I see. I think so too. Yushu nodded. I heard that a man is not a complete man if he lost a kidney. Jiangwen bro, your dream of having sex with Yao Yao sis is gone. Plus, you won't be able to have a threesome. What? Jiangwen's face turned purple. He didn't expect Yushu to be so evil. She touched his sore spot. He shouldn't have let her come. Did she really want to embarrass him in front of Meng Yao? Shu, don't talk nonsense. Even if he is a man, I won't have sex with him. Meng Yao frowned. She felt that Yushu was going overboard. It was as if she agreed to have sex with Jiangwen. Meng Yao's words, however, had a different meaning to them. Jiangwen felt a chill run down his spine. Even if he was a man, was he not a man now? Chapter 700. Lingshan frowned. Lingshan frowned. Meng Yao, Yushu, please watch your words. Jiangwen's a victim, and his injuries and emotions aren't stable yet. Please don't provoke him. How did I provoke him? Yushu didn't have a good impression of Lingshan. I'm just stating the truth. My brother said that losing a kidney will affect his health. Yuqian smiled bitterly as he lowered his head. On one side was his sister, and on the other side was Lingshan. Who should he help? Who could he help? How? Lingshan glared at Yuqian. What are you standing there for? Go get the doctor. I'll go right now. Yuqian nodded and went to get the doctor. Yushu was about to explode. What was wrong with this brother of hers? He was like a mouse in front of a cat in front of Lingshan. So careful and careful. Why was he so soft? She was his sister, and he didn't even care about what that fox said. He even want to get the doctor for Lingshan? Bro, you can't go. Yushu stood in front of Yuqian, staring at him angrily. She insulted your sister. How could you let her bully me like that? Shu! Yuqian didn't know what to do. Lingshan wasn't bullying Yushu, was she? She was just being strict with her words. As expected, he's unreliable. Yushu was disappointed to see Yuqian in a dilemma. Shield Bro was still the best. He would always help her and stand by her side. Yes, she would only be good to Shield Bro in this life. Even her own brother couldn't do it. Lin Yi was surprised by Yuqian's actions, but from Yushu's reaction, he could guess what was going on. Yuqian was Lingshan's pursuer? Someone was pursuing Miss Song? Shu, I'll go get the doctor. Yuqian saw the disappointment in his sister's eyes, but there was nothing he could do. Lingshan was the one who told him to get the doctor, and Jiangwen was unconscious. He didn't want anything to happen to him. No, Yushu disagreed. This wasn't as simple as finding a doctor anymore. This was a battle between Lingshan and Lingshan. Yushu really didn't understand. Why was her brother like Lingshan so much? Her brother was very outstanding. Okay. Although he wasn't as good as Shield Bro, he was still the eldest grandson of the Chen family. What kind of girl couldn't he get? Yushu and Lingshan had always been on good terms since they were young, and that was why Yushu was targeting Lingshan. Meng Yao couldn't stand it anymore, but she knew Shu's personality. She might look like a fool, but when she was really stubborn, no one could stop her. This was the reason why Shu stayed by her side when she fainted. Meng Yao was very touched. Yushu's words and suggestions sometimes made her feel awkward, like mistresses and threesomes. But Meng Yao knew that Yushu really didn't want to be separated from her. She wanted to be with her forever. Lin Yi didn't expect Yushu and Lingshan to fight like this, but Yuqian was indeed a little weak, and Lin Yi couldn't stand it anymore. He said faintly, "No need, Jiangwen won't die for now." Yuqian opened his mouth, but he could only bite the bullet and say, okay. Lin Yi was the person Yuqian admired the most, and it was because of Lin Yi that he changed. Otherwise, he would still be a spoiled brat, hanging out with Jiangwen every day. Lingshan, on the other hand, looked at Yuqian surprised. Lin Yi's words worked this well? Why did Yuqian agree to it so easily? Lingshan felt like she had lost face, and Yuqian didn't listen to her with her strong personality. But when she remembered that it was Lin Yi, she calmed down immediately. She could only blame her bad luck for being bullied by Lin Yi. Would she dare to complain? She didn't at the moment, but today, Yuqian made Lingshan look at him in a different light. For the first time, he was strong. It was a pity that Lingshan didn't like him. Changing his personality wouldn't change her feelings. Yushu paused, looking at her brother in disbelief. He didn't even listen to her, but he listened to Shield Bro. Yu Qian, on the other hand, was surprised. Lingshan didn't insist on going to the doctor anymore. Lin, he didn't say anything else. He walked to Jiang Wen's bedside and pressed on his head a couple of times. Jiang Wen woke up immediately. Jiang Wen jumped when he saw Lin Yi pressing on his head. Was Lin Yi going to kill him? But then he remembered that Lingshan and Yu Tian were here. Lin Yi wouldn't dare to kill him. Of course, if only Lin Yi and Yushu were here, Jiang Wen wouldn't feel at ease. That girl would definitely work with Lin Yi to kill him. It was too scary. Thank you, Brother Lin. My body isn't too good, and I fainted. Jiang Wen thanked Lin Yi. You're welcome. We're even now, Lin Yi said faintly. Jiang Wen paused, but he understood what Lin Yi meant. Lin Yi was referring to how he knocked him out before and how he woke him up now. Of course, only Jiang Wen could understand what he was saying. Oh, Jiang Wen bro, you're awake. Yushu looked at Jiang Wen apologetically. I'm sorry, I won't talk nonsense again. Haha, it's fine. What else could Jiang Wen say? He didn't want to argue with Yushu. He couldn't afford to. His life would be shortened if he did. Oh, let's take a photo with Jiang Wen bro. Losing a kidney is something to remember. This is the only time he'll ever lose one in his life. He can't lose one in the future. Yushu clapped her hands and suggested. Jiang Wen almost fainted again when he heard Yushu's words. What was so memorable about losing a kidney? Only once in his life. Wasn't that obvious? Wouldn't he die if he lost one more time? But Yushu wasn't as sharp this time, so he couldn't argue back. He could only pretend that he didn't understand what Yushu was trying to say. Plus, he was very willing to take a photo with Meng Yao. Chapter 701. Will be missed. Oh, it's time to take a picture. Yao Yao, come quick. Yushu waved at Meng Yao. Meng Yao didn't want to join in the fun, but seeing how excited Yushu was, she didn't object. She walked over and stood beside Yushu, not standing right next to Jiang Wen. This disappointed Jiang Wen a little. Bro, you come too. Yushu waved and turned to Lin Yi. Shield bro, stand behind me, and Yao Yao to protect us. I'll take the picture for you guys, I'll pass. Lin Yi felt that there was no point in taking pictures with Jiang Wen. No, there's only Lingshan sis here. She's the only outsider here. Come quick. Yushu started targeting Lingshan again. Lingshan was about to say, why should I take a picture for you guys? She was a police. She had no obligation to take a family picture for you guys. Plus, so what if she was an outsider? Who would want to be part of your family? But Lingshan didn't get to say anything before Lin Yi spoke up. All right. With that, he walked over and stood behind Yushu and Meng Yao. This put Lingshan in a difficult situation. Lin Yi was already there. Should she take the picture or not? I don't have a camera. Lingshan felt like a punching bag. How embarrassing. Lingshan sis, you have a phone. The resolution is really high. The beach castle you took from me last time was really pretty. Yushu didn't want to let Lingshan go. She wanted Lingshan to lose face in front of her brother. She wanted her brother to see that the arrogant girl he liked was just a punching bag in front of Shield Bro. Lingshan was furious. If it weren't for Lin Yi, she wouldn't have gone to take pictures of that beach castle. Was she an idiot? Oh, it seemed like Lin Yi thought she was an idiot. No obligation, Lingshan said coldly. All right, Lingshan, hurry up and take one. Lin Yi frowned. This Lingshan was too much. There were so many people standing here, and she was still trying to make excuses? Even if she had some conflict with Yushu, he was still standing here. Lingshan froze upon hearing Lin Yi's words. Lin Yi was still standing there. Wouldn't Lin Yi be mad if she didn't film it? She remembered that Lin Yi had called her Song Lingshan and not dumb girl, and that made her a little happier. Luckily, Lin Yi had given her face in front of all these people. Otherwise, she'd lose all her face if he'd called her dumb girl. All right. Lingshan quickly took out her phone to take a picture, thinking that she'd almost pissed off Lin Yi today because of Yushu. Yushu was very pleased with herself. It seemed that Lingshan was very afraid of Shield Bro. Every time Shield Bro spoke, Lingshan would listen to him. Yu Qian, on the other hand, was even more surprised. Lingshan didn't say anything when Lin Yi stopped him from going to the doctor, And Yuqian thought that Lingshan and Lin didn't know each other well, so she didn't want to refute Lin Yi's words. But now, it seemed like that wasn't the case at all. Lin Yi's words seemed to be very effective on Lingshan. As long as Lin Yi said it, Lingshan would do it. Just what was their relationship? Was it a superior and a subordinate? Otherwise, with Lingshan's personality, when had she ever been so easily bullied? Lingshan took the picture and smiled as she passed the phone to Lin. Lin Yi, what do you think? It's all right. Lin Yi nodded after taking a look. Then, little dumb girl, I'll send it to you when I get back. Is it the same as last time? Lingshan didn't pay attention and almost blurted out the words. She realized that she wasn't talking to Lin Yi in private and quickly changed her words. All right. Lin Yi was already used to Lingshan's attitude, so he didn't think anything was wrong. But Yuqian was shocked. Lingshan's attitude could only be described as fawning. When had Lingshan ever talked to a man in such a nice and friendly manner? She actually talked to Lin Yi in this tone. Yushu and Meng Yao, on the other hand, didn't think much of it. They knew that Lin Yi was very strong, and Lingshan even asked for help from Lin Yi. Jiang Wen, on the other hand, didn't expect Lin Yi and Lingshan to be this close. If he knew this would happen, he would have let Lingshan go, and things wouldn't have turned out like this. There was no point in staying here after the photo was taken. Yushu came here to mock Jiang Wen, and it was time to leave now that the fun was over. Yao sis, let's go. We've already taken a souvenir, and we'll miss Jiang Wen bro. Yushu paused on purpose before continuing about the kidney. Jiang Wen was cursing Yushu in his heart. He wasn't dead yet. How could she miss him? He waited for a long time, and it turned out that she was missing the kidney. He knew that he was tricked by Yushu again. Lingshan controlled her emotions this time. With Lin Yi around, she decided to behave herself. It wouldn't be fun if Lin Yi got angry. Yuqian could only smile bitterly at his sister. He couldn't control her. She had been like this since she was young. As for Lin Yi, although Yuqian had many questions he wanted to ask, he knew that even if he asked, Lin Yi might not answer. Plus, Lin Yi had already said that he was just his sister's follower. His sister's follower? His sister was too amazing. Meng Yao and Yushu said goodbye to Yuqian and left the room. Lin Yi, on the other hand, nodded to Yuqian and Lingshan before leaving the room with Meng Yao and Yushu. As for Jiang Wen, Lin Yi completely ignored him. After leaving the room, Yushu couldn't hold it in anymore and laughed. Haha, I'm so happy. That fox Lingshan is completely suppressed by Shield Bro. Let's see if she can still pretend to be arrogant now. Haha. Yushu was really happy. She hated Lingshan ever since she was young. She thought that Lingshan stole her brother from her. But as she grew older, she realized that it was her brother who pursued Lingshan, and Lingshan didn't like her brother. In Yushu's young heart, she thought that her brother was the best boy in the world. Lingshan was blind to look down on her brother. Chapter 702. Chapter 702. The Miss Inner World Meng Yao looked at Lin Yi faintly, not saying anything. She felt as if there was a barrier between her and Lin Yi, and there was an inexplicable feeling whenever she looked at Lin Yi. We have to have a big feast to celebrate today. Yushu seemed to be really happy. There are 3 big things happening today. First, we have to celebrate Yao Yao's coma. Shu, what did you say? Meng Yao almost fell down from her anger. Celebrate being poisoned? Was there something wrong with this, Shu? Was she gloating? Oh, Yao Yao, don't be mad. I'm not done yet. Yushu waved her hand, feeling wronged. What I meant was, we have to celebrate Yao Yao's coma. She's bound to be blessed after surviving a disaster. Meng Yao blushed. It seemed like she'd misunderstood Shu. She glared at her. Can't you make it clear? I did, but I was interrupted. Yushu said weakly. You're still talking? Meng Yao made a move to tear Yushu's mouth apart. Oh, don't. I'm a mistress. I don't want to be like this. Yushu cried out. Then don't be the mistress. Meng Yao was just trying to scare her. She didn't really want to tear Yushu's mouth off, but she didn't expect Yushu to start talking nonsense again. I'll be the mistress then, Yushu said after some thought. Suit yourself. Meng Yao rolled her eyes, not knowing what to say. Then I'll continue. This is the first thing. The second thing is that we have to celebrate Jiang Wen losing a kidney so that he can't bother Yao Yao anymore. Yushu said, Meng Yao and Jiang Wen were pretty close when they were young, and although they weren't that close anymore, she still felt some sympathy for Jiang Wen losing a kidney. It would be too much to celebrate, and so Meng Yao didn't support Shu's suggestion. The third thing is to embarrass Fox Song. I'm so happy, Yushu said excitedly. So we have to go and celebrate. Meng Yao nodded. Escaping death was something to be thankful for. She looked at Lin Yi and asked faintly, Are you free? Lin Yi was slightly startled. How could the eldest miss speak to him in such a tone? It didn't look like it. In the past, they would always order him to take them out to eat without asking if he was free. Meng Yao's attitude made Lin Yi a little embarrassed. He wanted to go back to Tang Yun after visiting Jiang Wen, but it seemed like he could only accompany the miss for dinner. I originally asked Tang Yun to buy something, but I can cancel it, Lin Yi said. Let's ask her to come with us then, Meng Yao said after some hesitation. Lin Yi froze on the spot and looked at Meng Yao in disbelief. Wasn't the miss and Tang Yun never on good terms? Why was she bringing Tang Yun out to eat today? What did this mean? Why are you looking at me like that? Meng Yao frowned. She felt a little guilty being stared at by Lin Yi. In fact, she didn't like this feeling. Ever since Lin Yi saw her body and she peed on Lin Yi, Meng Yao instinctively felt guilty and shy in front of Lin Yi. She was no longer as arrogant and strong as before. She was the miss, his employer. How could she feel guilty in front of him? So Meng Yao tried to make her tone and attitude as cold as possible to cover up the nervousness in her heart. You want to treat her? Lin Yi asked. Oh, Yao Yao says finally wants to negotiate with Tang Yun. That's great. Yushu didn't know what Meng Yao was thinking. She cheered according to her own understanding. Negotiate? Lin Yi looked at Yushu. Was the miss going to have a showdown with Tang Yun? Lin Yi had a headache thinking about the scene during lunch. On one side was his employer, and on the other side was his girlfriend. The miss was a prideful person. She must have her face. Shu, what are you talking about? What judgment? Meng Yao glared at her. I just want to thank her. In fact, Meng Yao thought so too. When she was in the hospital, she heard Tang Yun calling Lin Yi. At that moment, she felt that Tang Yun was actually a good girl. She always appeared in front of her as a love rival. When her life was in danger, Tang Yun didn't want her to die and gloat. Instead, she asked Lin Yi to save her. Meng Yao was touched. She was really touched. The miss didn't lack money, but she lacked love. Although Pingzhan gave her enough fatherly love, he was too busy. No matter how much he loved Meng Yao, the time he could spend with her was limited. For a long time, the miss and Shu depended on each other. This caused the miss to have a cold personality. She would treat others well because she was kind. She didn't say it out loud. When Lin Yi first came, the miss instinctively rejected him. She didn't understand Lin Yi. She didn't know Lin Yi's personality. With Meng Yao's closed personality, it was already the limit for her to accept Lin Yi living in the villa. But as time went on, Meng Yao realized that Lin Yi was really good to her. So good that it was unbelievable. He would risk his life for her and accompany her to be a hostage. Meng Yao remembered this friendship deeply in her heart. But because of her personality, she couldn't say many words of gratitude. At home, Lin Yi often cooked for her and Shu. He took care of her and Shu like a big brother. It made Meng Yao feel warm and comfortable. Since young, no one had ever treated her so well. Meng Yao, who didn't have a mother's love, cherished this kind of relationship. No matter how good Pingzhan was to her, he couldn't cook for her every day. He couldn't take care of her every day. Even if Fauber came to deliver food every day, he would bring it back from a big restaurant. How could it be the same as cooking for her? And so, as Meng Yao slowly accepted Lin Yi's existence, she started to rely on him in a way that was hard to detect. It was as if Lin Yi was omnipotent, and no matter what happened, he would be able to solve it easily. Chapter 703. Protecting happiness, however, Tang Yun's appearance infuriated the miss. It was as if someone had taken away her most cherished possession. Meng Yao felt that Tang Yun had stolen Lin Yi. How could she just sit back and do nothing? She just had a warm feeling in the house. How could she let someone else take away her happiness? As for all the stuff about how Lin Yi couldn't see that there were pretty girls in the house, and how he went out to flirt with them, it was just an excuse. The real reason was that the miss had been lacking warmth since she was young. Meng Yao was like a safe, purposely hiding her feelings. She didn't want to admit that there was a warm feeling in the house with Lin Yi. This was the softness in the miss heart, and she didn't want others to know. Although sometimes she felt that this Lin Yi was annoying, it felt good to live under the same roof as him. If it was possible, Meng Yao hoped that this kind of life could continue. However, Tang Yun's appearance brought Meng Yao back to reality from her dream. Her dreams were shattered in an instant. Yes, Lin Yi would leave the villa sooner or later and start his own life. He would have a girlfriend, and he would have his own family. But Meng Yao didn't think that this day would come so soon. So she was filled with hostility towards Tang Yun and wanted to chase her away from Lin Yi. She would never allow Tang Yun to destroy her warm home. She wanted Lin Yi to prepare breakfast for her and Shu every day. She wanted Lin Yi to be the first to appear when she and Shu were in trouble. So that night, when she saw Lin Yi injured, and when she saw Tang Yun, Meng Yao was furious. Why? Lin Yi was a member of the villa. Why would he get injured because of Tang Yun? And so, the first clash between Meng Yao and Tang Yun began. The miss was furious, and without thinking, she declared war on Tang Yun. This declaration led to the second clash in the cafeteria at noon. However, Tang Yun's kindness woke Miss up in an instant. Yes, what did Tang Yun do wrong? Wasn't it Lin Yi who pursued her? How could he blame her? However, Meng Yao really didn't want her to take Lin Yi away from the villa. But after what happened today, after what he'd seen her naked body, and after she'd pissed all over him so awkwardly, could their relationship still be the same? Would he look down on her? Laugh at me? Even if he didn't, how could he face Lin Yi? Annoying, really annoying. Meng Yao felt like she was going to die from annoyance. She'd never been this annoyed in her entire life. So at this moment, Miss decided that she would treat Tang Yun to a meal to express her gratitude. No matter what, they didn't know each other anymore. The Miss didn't want to owe anyone anything, especially Tang Yun. How she handled her relationship with Lin Yi was her own business. She didn't want to be held back by Tang Yun because she owed Tang Yun a favor. Miss was a smart person and naturally understood this. Miss's words made Lin Yi a little surprised. However, he still took out his phone and called Tang Yun. No matter what, Lin Yi also wanted to ease the relationship between Miss and Tang Yun. Otherwise, it would be troublesome for him to be stuck in the middle in the future. Lin Yi, have you settled the things on your side? Tang Yun was very happy after receiving Lin Yi's call. She had been waiting in the ward. She wanted to call Lin Yi to ask if he could come back at night, but she was afraid that it would affect Lin Yi's work and make things difficult for him. So, she didn't call. It's done, Lin Yi said. I just left the inpatient department. Then, can you come back? Tang Yun hesitated and asked. Yao Yao said that she wants to treat you to a meal. Do you want to come? Lin Yi asked. Meng Yao, treat me to a meal? Tang Yun was slightly stunned. She felt that it was a bit unbelievable. Why would Meng Yao treat her to a meal? Express your gratitude? Lin Yi said. Gratitude? Tang Yun understood immediately that Meng Yao was thanking her for calling Lin Yi and asking him to treat Meng Yao's illness. However, Tang Yun was still a little hostile towards a miss, so she didn't want to go. I won't go, will I? It's not good, right? You don't want to come? Then forget it. Lin Yi also guessed what Tang Yun was thinking. She must still have some grudges with Mississippi. Meng Yao wanted to take the phone and talk to Tang Yun personally, but she couldn't lower her face. So, she gave Yushu a look, wanting her to say it for her. Yao Yao sis, look, Tang Yun doesn't dare to come, right? Yushu blinked her eyes and moved closer to Lin Yi's phone. Meng Yao was so angry that she started trembling. This Yushu was really pissing her off. She asked Yushu to invite Tang Yun for her, but she said this kind of thing? Wasn't this continuing to be Tang Yun's enemy? Tang Yun heard Yushu's words and panicked. Who said I don't dare to come? I'll go now. Needless to say, Yushu's provocation worked. No matter what, Tang Yun had already made her decision. "Let's meet at the parking lot in front of the hospital," Lin Yi said. "Okay, I'll go now." Tang Yun didn't want Yushu to look down on her, as if she was afraid of them. After hanging up, Yushu cheered before Lin Yi could say anything. "Yao Yao sis, I'm amazing, right? I tricked Tang Yun to come with just one sentence." You tricked her to come, but I wanted to thank you." "How can I thank you like this?" Meng Yao shook her head helplessly. "You can thank me when she comes. I just tricked her to come," Yushu said innocently. Meng Yao didn't want to argue with Yushu. It would only make her headache worse. She turned to Lin. "Hey, did you drive a car?" "Shu's Beetle can barely fit 4 people, Lin Yi said. "Oh, I'll sit in the back with Shu," Meng Yao nodded. "Next time, drive the S5. Lin Yi nodded. He didn't dare to touch the Miss car before, but now it seemed that the Miss didn't care about this kind of thing at all. "I want to sit in the front. I can point the way for Shield Bro. I know a super cool Western restaurant." Yushu didn't want to sit in the back. It was unknown if she did it on purpose, but Meng Yao and Tang Yin sat together. "You can also point the way from the back," Meng Yao said. "I'm nearsighted. I can't see the back clearly." Yushu shook her head. Chapter 704. Chapter 704. Jealous. "Oh, I'm fine now. I can see clearly again." Yushu waved her hands. Meng Yao glared at her. She'd been glaring at Yushu all day long, and her own eyes were starting to hurt. Lin Yi had long since gotten used to Meng Yao and Yushu's bickering. The two had always been like this, bickering, but their relationship was frighteningly good. Meng Yao pulled Yushu to the back seat. The Beetle wasn't big, but it was more than enough to fit 2 petite girls. Yushu was a little uncomfortable. "Ah, it's so cramped. I want to sit in the front." "Your boobs are too big, so it's cramped. Just cut them off," Meng Yao said, a little pissed off. Lin Yi wasn't in the car at the moment, leaning against the driver's door, waiting for Tang Yin. Meng Yao dared to say something like that, but Lin Yi's hearing was better than a normal person's, and he heard everything clearly. "Yao Yao, you're jealous of me." Yushu covered her boobs as she looked at Meng Yao cautiously. "Who cares? There's a lot of people with big boobs. It's not that rare anymore." Meng Yao curled her lips. "That's true. The main wife and the second wife have their own specialties. It's not good to have the same. It's not attractive." Yushu nodded in agreement. Meng Yao didn't know how to respond to Yushu's words, so she kept quiet. Soon, Tang Yin walked out of the first ward and ran over to Lin Yi as soon as she saw him. Through the car window, Lin Yi could see that Tang Yin's body was well-proportioned. Her boobs weren't too big, but they weren't too small either. Her legs were straight and long, and her height wasn't any lower than Meng Yao's. Her ponytail swayed in the car park under the light of the setting sun, giving off an indescribable feeling of youth. Meng Yao had to admit that Tang Yin was perfect, a typical pretty girl. It made her a little jealous. "There's 2 of us. We won't lose to her," Yushu said, seeing Tang Yin's unwillingness to lose. Meng Yao was speechless. Was this a human wave tactic? A 3-team tactic? Wouldn't it be embarrassing even if they won? Besides, when was she going to marry Lin Yi? She just felt that he took good care of her. Tang Yin paused when she saw the Beetle behind Lin Yi. She had been in this car before, but it wasn't Lin Yi's car. It should be Meng Yao or Yushu's. "Did you wait for a long time?" "I'm sorry." Tang Yin fixed the bangs in front of her forehead and apologized. She couldn't lose her composure in front of Meng Yao. Otherwise, she wouldn't have said that. "It's fine. Get in." Lin Yi opened the door for Tang Yin. Tang Yin saw Meng Yao and Yushu sitting at the back and felt a little embarrassed. "I don't think it's appropriate for me to sit at the front." "Oh, that's great. I want to sit in the front. Let's swap seats?" Yushu was happy to see that Tang Yin was still unwilling to sit in front. "Shu, shut up." Meng Yao covered Yushu's mouth and glared at her before turning to Tang Yin. "You're the guest, of course you should sit in the front." In fact, Meng Yao thought the same. The car was small, and it wasn't appropriate for Tang Yin to sit in the back. Tang Yin was a little embarrassed when she heard that Yushu wanted to sit in the front, but it wasn't appropriate for her to sit next to the Mississippi. She was in a dilemma. Tang Yun, don't listen to Shu's nonsense. She's always like that, talking nonsense every day. You'll get to know her after spending some time with her. Meng Yao felt a little embarrassed when she saw that Tang Yun was in a dilemma. She did treat them to a meal to thank them, not to declare war. It was hard to say what would happen in the future, but she had to be more sincere today. Haha, okay. Tang Yun smiled, but in her heart, she thought, how could they interact more in the future? The luxurious life that Meng Yao and Yushu lived was too far away from her. She still didn't have a place to buy her own house. Tang Yun got in the car, and Lenny followed. He started the car and asked, what do we want to eat? Where to? Listen to me, I know a super cool Western restaurant. Yushu said. Lenny saw that Meng Yao didn't object, so he nodded. Okay, turn left in front, then turn right again. Go to the high road, go to the upper bridge in the middle. Then go to the lower bridge on the right. Then, Yushu started to give directions. It was more efficient than a navigation system. Lin Yi followed Yushu's directions and stopped the car in front of a restaurant called Super Cool Couple Western Restaurant. Lin Yi was speechless. The name of this restaurant was as shocking as the awesome floating cloud bar. Were these two chain restaurants? Meng Yao looked at the big signboard and didn't know what to say. It was indeed super cool. But was this a couple restaurant? Didn't that mean that only couples would come here? What was with the four of them coming here? Wasn't this combination a little weird? Shu, is this a couple restaurant? Should we go somewhere else? Meng Yao frowned when she saw that all the people coming in and out of the restaurant were couples. We're already here. Why don't we go somewhere else? I'm starving. Yushu shook her head and urged. Meng Yao had no choice but to let Lin Yi park the car and get out. The doorman who parked the car at the entrance of the Western restaurant thought it was a couple getting off the Beetle, but he didn't expect four people to get off. He suddenly felt a little strange. Excuse me, are you all here to eat? Of course. Why would we park the car here if we're not here to eat? It's not fun here. Yushu thought that the valet was an idiot, asking stupid questions. Oh, please come in. The valet shook his head. It couldn't be two couples, could it? Was one of them a lesbian? He thought evilly as he invited Lin Yi's group into the restaurant. A waiter came to serve them. Good evening. The manager walked over and greeted politely. Give me a private room. Yushu looked at the layout curiously. She had read about this restaurant on the internet before. It was said that this was a heaven for lovers. Yushu wanted to see it, but she didn't have any lovers. She heard that this place didn't accept couples, so she gave up on the idea. But today was her chance. One room. The lobby manager was slightly startled. One room for the four of you? Yeah. Yushu nodded. Chapter 705. We are a couple, yes. Give us a couple's room. Yushu said, I'm sorry. The four of you can only get 2 private rooms. One private room is not allowed. The lobby manager was a little impatient. Are these people looking for trouble? Couples' rooms and seats were charged by the hour. Wouldn't it be a loss for the restaurant to have 4 people in a room? Who said we aren't a couple? Yushu wasn't willing. We are a couple. Huh. For people? All of them are couples? The manager didn't believe Yushu's words. He was certain that these 4 were here to cause trouble. But they must be blind to mess around in Lei Bro's place. Were they tired of living? Yeah, I'm Shield Bro's second wife. Yao Yao Sis is Shield Bro's first wife. She's Shield Bro's girlfriend. Why can't we go to the same room? Yushu explained impatiently. Hey, Baldy, why are you wasting time? We're here to spend money. Why are you being so nosy? The manager heard Yushu's words and felt disdainful. Wasn't this bullsh asterisk T? First wife, second wife, and a girlfriend? Did she think he was an idiot? Plus, this girl dared to call him Baldy? He was a ball man, okay? It was very popular in the underworld. Spending money? I think you're here to mess around? The manager's attitude turned cold. Let me give you a piece of advice. If you know what's good for you, leave. I don't care who sent you here. Tell him that Lei Bro's territory is not a place for others to mess around. Is there something wrong with you? What Lei Bro, Rain Bro, Lightning Bro? We're here to eat. Yushu thought that there must be something wrong with this Baldy's brain. The lobby manager sneered and said faintly, "Our private room can only accommodate 2 people. If you're here to eat, I welcome you. Get 2 rooms." Shoo! Meng Yao frowned. She was a high and mighty existence. When had she ever been looked down upon like this? Especially today, they were here to invite Tang Yun. If they left just like that, what face would they have left? The problem was, if this restaurant really had such a rule, then so be it. Meng Yao saw 3 people enter a room with her own eyes. She stopped Shu and told the manager, "I saw 3 people enter a room just now. Did I see it wrong? It's in that box." With that, Meng Yao pointed at room 101, which wasn't far behind the manager. The manager laughed at Meng Yao's words. "So you're here to cause trouble. Brother Lei, someone is fucking here." The 4 of them insisted on a private room. The person in room 101 was the owner of this dazzling couple restaurant, Brother Lei. He had indeed brought 2 girls into room 101 because he was preparing to have 3 batches. He was the boss here. Naturally, he could do whatever he wanted. Brother Lei had just entered the private room and was ready to fight when he heard the manager's shout. He immediately frowned, pushed open the door of the private room, and walked out. He said arrogantly, "What's going on?" "Fuck, who's fucking at this time? Do they want to die?" Linny understood what was going on from the sidelines. So this lay bro from room 101 was the owner of this Western restaurant. Meng Yao's example was useless. He was the boss, so it didn't matter how many people he brought. However, the restaurant's rule was that only couples could enter a room. This was one of the ways the restaurant made money. Otherwise, the restaurant wouldn't be able to make so much money if a large group of people went to a room. The interior design of this restaurant was very high-end. They were relying on the room fees to make money. Usually, couples would go to a room, eat, and drink red wine. In this romantic environment, it was inevitable that they would think about sex after they were full and do something they loved to do. This way, unless it was a quick shooter, it would take a long time. Naturally, they would earn money from the room fees. But if a large group of people went to a room, what else could happen? If they left after eating, how would the restaurant make money? The prices of the dishes here were basically mediocre and not profitable. What they relied on were some attractive decorations and atmosphere. Linny knew these things just by looking at the price list at the door. So it was reasonable that the manager wasn't willing. He couldn't be bothered with this. Although this restaurant's operation was a bit unorthodox, they were willing to operate it this way. The Industry and Commerce Bureau didn't find trouble with them. Naturally, he wouldn't poke his nose into other people's business. Yao Shu, let's go. Since this restaurant doesn't work, let's go to another one. He didn't want to waste his breath here. He knew that Meng Yao was afraid of losing face, so he took the initiative to leave. Meng Yao heard Lin Yi's words and didn't insist anymore. After all, He was the one who suggested leaving first. She didn't have to lose face. She nodded and said, "All right, let's go to another one." "Seriously, you're crazy to not do business when there's a chance." Yushu wanted to see the room. She heard that there were sex toys for couples. Yushu was very curious, but it seemed like she couldn't do it today. Lei Bro was originally unhappy that he was interrupted when he was about to play with women. But when he saw Meng Yao, Yushu, and Tang Yun, his eyes almost popped out. No way. They were the best, and there were 3 of them at once. Brother Lei had played with quite a number of women. He ran a Western restaurant and made a lot of money every day. Moreover, he had a cousin who was doing well, so he was rich and arrogant. Naturally, he threatened and tricked pretty girls and got his hands on quite a number of them. But Lei Bro hadn't played with the 3 in front of him before. He had seen pretty girls like these 3, but they were all experienced men. They didn't look innocent at all. Lei Bro didn't have a good time playing with them, but the girls in front of him looked very innocent. They might even be virgins. Lei Bro wouldn't let them slip away in front of him. "What's their background?" Lei Bro whispered to Ma Bailan. 4 of them. They came in a beetle. "The man is driving," Marbalin replied in a low voice. Chapter 706. Can't end well. Driving a Beetle with one girl was considered flashy, but 3 was a little shabby. He might as well drive a hatchback. And these 3 girls were squeezed in the same car with him. They were obviously inexperienced. Who else would squeeze in a car like that? It's my honor that these 3 beauties are here to eat. Bylan, how can you shut them out? Bro pretended to be angry as he scolded the manager. Ma Bylan paused and understood what Bro meant. Bro probably had his eyes on these 3 girls. Yeah, these 3 girls were really pretty, but they were unlucky enough to come to Bro's territory and act arrogantly. Wasn't that like sending sheep into a tiger's mouth? I'm sorry, Bro. Ma Bylan quickly apologized. He purposely made himself look lowly to highlight Bro's mighty image. 3 beauties, please come in. Bylan, hurry up and prepare a room. Bro gave him a look. No need. We won't be eating here. Meng Yao felt uncomfortable under Bro's perverted gaze. She pulled Yushu's hand and prepared to leave. Tang Yin didn't say anything. She didn't need to say anything with Lin Yi here. She knew that Lin Yi wouldn't let anyone bully her. Haha, since you're here, let's eat here. How about I personally toast and apologize to you guys later? Bro looked at Meng Yao with a smile. If you guys are still breathing, I'll pay for everything you spend today, free of charge. Bro wanted to keep Meng Yao, Yushu, and Tang Yin here. As for Lin Yi, he didn't care about him at all. He didn't think that Lin Yi had a deep relationship with these 3 girls. These 3 girls were obviously prostitutes, so Bro guessed that Lin Yi was either a normal friend or a pervert like him who had ulterior motives towards these 3 girls. Oh, if that's the case, Yao sis, let's do it here. Yushu was tempted. She wanted to see the room in this Western restaurant. Are there any legendary sex toys inside? Meng Yao hesitated for a moment, but didn't insist after seeing how much Yushu wanted to stay. All right, but we'll pay for the meal and the room. I don't mind if you want to double it. Meng Yao didn't want to lay Bro any favors, so she was willing to pay double the price. Don't you think it's a loss to have 4 people in a room? Then you can count it as double. Oh, that's great. Seeing that Meng Yao had agreed, Yushu pulled Meng Yao with her, eager to walk inside. Lin Yi and Tang Yin followed behind them. In front of Miss, Lin Yi was too embarrassed to hold Tang Yin's hand. Wait, you can't go in. Under Brother Lei's signal, Ma Bylan reached out and blocked Lin Yi from going in. Lin Yi frowned slightly. It seemed like Bro and Ma Bylan had decided to make a big deal out of this. Lin Yi stopped, and so did Meng Yao, Yushu, and Tang Yin. Why would they go if Lin Yi couldn't go in? Why don't you let him in? Meng Yao frowned as well. Are you going back on your words? I only said to let the 3 beauties in, but I didn't say anything about letting this kid in. Bro looked at Lin Yi in disdain and said to the 3, Ignore him, please come in. We're not eating anymore. Meng Yao was furious. This guy didn't let Lin Yi in? What was the point of eating then? Meng Yao suppressed her anger. She didn't want Tang Yin to see how unruly her miss was. She said faintly, Let's go, Shu. Oh, Yushu nodded obediently this time. What was the point of going to the room if she didn't let Shield Bro in? Even if there were sex toys, who would she play with? Therefore, she had lost interest in it. Tang Yin naturally followed Lin Yi. Why would she come if Lin Yi couldn't come in? She turned around and wanted to leave too. What's wrong? You don't want to do me the honor? Bro felt that he had miscalculated. He didn't expect these 3 beauties to value Lin Yi so much. Before, Bro didn't think that Lin Yi was important. He thought that he was just a rich guy. But now it seemed like that wasn't the case. If he knew this would happen, he would have let Lin Yi in as well. He would have thought of a way to send Lin Yi away. But now he had already said it. If he let Lin Yi in as well, wouldn't it make him look weak? He was planning to hit on girls. How could he lower his head? Bro saw that using tricks didn't work, so he had to use force. He had his eyes on these 3 beauties. He couldn't let them go. Move! We don't want to eat anymore. Meng Yao had Lin Yi with her, so she wasn't afraid of these people. Do you think that this Western restaurant belongs to your family? Ma Bylan also understood the boss's intention at this moment. Since the soft approach didn't work, he directly used the hard approach. Naturally, Ma Bylan arrogantly blocked the 3's path. Yao sis, leave it to me. Yushu saw that the conflict had escalated and immediately got excited. She let go of Mingyao's hand and rushed towards Ma Bailan. Ma Bailan was stunned. He didn't know what Yushu was going to do. In the end, before he could figure out what was going on, a tragedy happened. Yushu's foot landed on Ma Bailan's crotch, and the man's eyes rolled back with a grunt as he crouched on the ground. Holding his crotch as beads of sweat dripped down his forehead. "Oh yeah," Yushu shouted happily. She made a victory sign with her finger. "Yao Yao sis," actually hit him in one hit. He's even weaker than a shark. Yushu had always been fearless. She dared to fight zombies and sharks, let alone a manager like Ma Bailan. But she didn't expect Ma Bailan to be so weak. One kick, and he couldn't get up. In fact, Ma Bailan wasn't weak. He didn't have any defense at all, because Ma Bailan didn't think that Yushu could do anything to him. Imagine a little girl with a baby face running towards you. What would your first thought be? Who would think that she would use a move like the climax kick? Lin, he shrugged. It seemed like this wouldn't end well. Lin, he wasn't a person who liked to bully others. But if someone bullied him, he wouldn't just ignore it. Chapter 707. I'm not ready to leave, but this lay bro who came out later obviously made things complicated. Lenny knew what he was thinking. He wanted to keep the three of them here because of their lust. Lin E, naturally, wouldn't let him get away with it. But what Lenny didn't expect was that Yushu made a move first. Leibro was also shocked by the scene. He didn't expect a young girl like Yushu to be able to use such a vicious move. It was a direct hit, turning Ma Bailan into a prawn. Ma Bailan was probably in a lot of pain now. It was hard to say if he would ever be able to have sex again. Leibro's face darkened immediately. Good, very good. It's spicy, but I like it. Leibro looked at Yushu with a lustful desire to conquer her. Let's call it a day. I'm in a good mood. I don't want to do anything to you, and I won't come here again. What do you think? Lenny looked at Leibro and said faintly. His eyes looked like he was giving charity. In fact, in Lenny's eyes, he was really nothing. Since Yushu had taught them a lesson, he didn't want to mess with them anymore. They were supposed to celebrate today, and he didn't want to spoil the mood because of these small fries. Why? Leibro paused, then laughed out loud. He looked at Lin E as if he was looking at an idiot. Ma Bailan, who was crouching on the ground, couldn't help but laugh as well. It was a happy laugh, as if he had forgotten the pain in his body. Chill, bro, are they stupid? Yushu looked at Leibro and Ma Bailan oddly. How could people laugh so happily all of a sudden? Did he suffer some kind of shock? Shoo! Mingyao signaled Yushu not to say anything at this time. Yushu's kick had made things complicated, and they didn't know if it would end well. Mingyao didn't want to waste time with these people. She really wanted to treat Tang Yun to a meal. Oh, I got it, Yushu called out in sudden realization. They're so happy because Shield Bro said he'd let them go. They're so happy. Mingyao, Lin E, and Tang Yun couldn't help but laugh at Yushu's words. However, Lin E and Mingyao were already used to it. Tang Yun finally understood what Mingyao meant in the car. This was Yushu's personality. She'd understand it after interacting with her more. She was indeed a very cheerful girl. She was always so happy and didn't feel nervous at all. Chick, your joke isn't funny. Brother Lei clapped his hands and said, Today, none of you can leave. Just as Brother Lei was clapping, a group of men in black suits quickly ran over and surrounded Lin E and the other three. The leader, who had a scar on his face, turned to Brother Lei respectfully and said, Brother Lei, what do we do now? Beat the man until he's disabled and throw him out. Knock the woman out and keep her. Brother Lei's face showed a ruthless expression. His restaurant was wrecked. If word got out, he wouldn't be able to live in this world anymore. Oh, you called for help. Usually, the antagonist in the cartoon would do this after getting beaten up. But do you know the consequences? Yushu suddenly asked. The entire restaurant was filled with a tense atmosphere. However, after Yushu's words, everyone's face showed a strange expression. The atmosphere suddenly became less tense. Wasn't this chick scared? There were so many people standing here. How could she still have the mood to talk about such strange things? Chick, your chest is pretty big. I like it. Brother Lei looked at Yushu and licked his lips. I can tell you the consequences. You'll become my plaything. Brother Lei wasn't a fool, and he didn't dare to mess with just anyone. However, he had heard from Mob Island that the four of them came in a beetle. What background could they have? If there were only 2 people, he would have to think about it. But there were 4 of them. Other than the man, no one else had a car. Which rich kid didn't have a car? Besides, Brother Lei knew about the famous young masters in Songshan. He had never seen Lenny before, so he was unscrupulous. Bang! Yushu, on the other hand, kicked out abruptly while Lei Bro was talking, landing another kick on the knife-scarred man who was surrounding her. The knife-scarred man had turned his head to look at Lei Bro, and Yushu's kick caught him off guard. His eyes almost popped out of their sockets, and he cried out in pain as he squatted on the ground, clutching his chest. Oh, I kicked him again. These people are worse than sharks. They're so weak. Yushu cheered. Yao sis, come and play. It's so fun. Brother Lei's face darkened. This was a provocation. Yushu still dared to hit his men in front of so many people. She didn't respect him at all. He laughed coldly. Don't waste time talking to them. Just go. If the woman resists, take her down too. Meng Yao looked at Yushu helplessly. She made things worse. Luckily, Linny was here. They didn't have to worry about not being able to leave. Are you really not letting us go? Lin, he looked at Brother Lei. Huh? Do you know who I am? No one has ever been able to walk out of my territory standing up. Brother Lei laughed arrogantly. All of you have to stay here today, especially that girl. I don't mind telling you that my cousin is Li Sihua. You should know your place. If you know what's good for you, serve me well. Even if you kneel and beg me, I'll consider letting you leave. Your cousin is Li Sihua. Lin, he was surprised. No one of their names were so cool. One was Sihua, and the other was Lei. One was Floating Cloud Bar, and the other was Western Restaurant. It was a perfect match. Now you know how to be afraid? Brother Lei enjoyed this feeling. Every time he mentioned his cousin's name, the people who came to him would be scared shitless. They would also give out their women for him to play with. This time, Brother Lei thought the same. He wanted the 3 girls to take the initiative to serve him. There was no point in forcing them. Chapter 708. Not done yet. Since Li Delay was Sihua's cousin, Lin Yi planned to use him to test the doctor beside Sihua, the person who poisoned him. Lin Yi, be careful. Tang Yin saw Lin Yi walking towards the men in black and quickly reminded him. Tang Yin, you don't understand, Shield Bro. It's the bad guys who need to be careful. Yushu said to Tang Yin. Tang Yin pouted, wondering why she didn't understand Lin Yi at all. She knew him very well. Okay? How could these thieves be a match for Lin Yi? Wasn't she just worried about him? I'm telling him to be careful. Don't hurt them. Tang Yin said. Oh, it's fine even if they're hurt. We're just defending ourselves. That vixen Lingshan is very afraid of Shield Bro anyway. Yushu said nonchalantly. Li Delay's expression changed. He didn't expect these people to be so fearless in this situation. There were only 2 possibilities. First, they were ignorant and fearless. They were all idiots. The second possibility was that they had absolute confidence in leaving this place. Before, Li Delay thought that it was the first possibility and thought it was funny. But now Li Delay was leaning towards the second possibility. After hearing Sihua's name, not only was Linny not afraid, but he even walked up to them and said that he wasn't leaving. Of course, this wasn't the main point. The main point was that Yushu mentioned Song Lingshan. She even dared to call Song Lingshan a vixen. Li Delay wasn't unfamiliar with Song Lingshan's name. She was the captain of the criminal investigation team in the city police station. How could people like them who mingled in the underworld not have heard of it? Could these people be related to Song Lingshan? Li Delay was nervous at the thought. He hesitated and decided to find out more about these people. Guys, you must have something to rely on if you dare to come here, right? Tell us. Don't ruin the Dragon King's temple. Lin Yi could naturally tell that Li Delay was compromising. He changed his mind after hearing Lingshan's name. It didn't matter if Li Delay had a powerful background or not. Ling Shan could still deal with him. Of course, it would probably be very difficult to directly put him in prison, but if he came looking for trouble from time to time, it would be enough to make him suffer. How could someone like Li Delay not have any evidence? It was obviously impossible. However, Lin Yi didn't reply. His fate was sealed the moment Lin Yi found out about his relationship with Sihua. He was destined to be Lin Yi's test subject against Sihua, or the poisoner beside Master Bing. Since you guys don't want to tell me, then I can't do anything about it. I don't care if you guys have any background, but you have to give me an explanation for messing around in my Western restaurant. Take him down, Li Delay said indifferently. He wasn't afraid of anything. So what if he knew Ling Shan? If he didn't touch those girls, that would be the end of it. Beating that brat up could be considered as relieving his anger and getting back some face. Even if Ling Shan knew about it, she wouldn't do anything to him. At most, she would just compensate him with some money. The men in black looked at Lin Yi cautiously, but they weren't too afraid. After all, they had the absolute advantage in numbers. On Lin Yi's side, Lin Yi was the only one who could make a move. As for Yushu, they didn't put her in their eyes at all. She was just a sneak attack. She didn't have any combat ability. Their eyes were all on Lin Yi. The moment Lin Yi got close, they moved. They didn't let their guard down and attack together. They were ready to take down Lin Yi in one go. They had lost all their face, and they wanted to get it back. But they had a good idea. They moved, and Lin Yi moved as well, but Lin Yi's speed was much faster than theirs. Before they could see what was going on, they felt a sharp pain in their necks, and their vision went black. They didn't know what happened after that. Oh, Shield Bro, you're amazing. But can you leave one for me? I haven't had enough. Yushu screamed excitedly. You're a little late. Lin Yi just knocked out the last man, and he was falling to the ground. However, Lin Yi pulled him back and gave him a massage before pushing him to Yushu. But it's okay, I woke him up. Oh. Yushu looked at Lin Yi with admiration. He was amazing. He could wake someone up after knocking them out. Yushu looked at the black-clothed man wobbling towards her eagerly, ready to make her move. The black-clothed man's face was filled with terror, but he didn't have the strength to fight back at all. Lin Yi's push sent him stumbling towards Yushu's direction, as if he was doing an inertial exercise. He didn't know what happened to him. Why couldn't he control himself? In fact, Lin Yi did something to him. Otherwise, Lin Yi wouldn't have allowed such a dangerous person to get close to Yushu and the others. However, the man in black was like a puppet. He couldn't resist at all. Not only the man in black, but even Li Delay's eyes were filled with shock and fear. He was afraid that Lin Yi could knock out his men in an instant, but now he was afraid that Lin Yi could wake him up after knocking him out. However, what happened next was even more terrifying. Li Delay watched as his last man was kicked in the crotch by Yushu. His eyes rolled back, and he fainted on the ground while foaming at the mouth. Although the diners in the Western restaurant also heard the sound of fighting coming from the lobby, who dared to come out at this time? They were afraid that they would be implicated, so they locked their doors tightly. As for those couples who passed by the Western restaurant and wanted to eat here, when they saw the situation in the lobby, they all turned around and left. Li Delay watched as Lin Yi approached him step by step. He was filled with fear. This person was indeed fearless. He had miscalculated. Shield Bro, can I kick this one too? Yushu was addicted to kicking people. She felt that kicking bad guys was an incomparably satisfying thing. Li Delay's face twitched. Let you kick him? Wouldn't I die without descendants then? Bro, let's talk this out. Peace brings wealth. Li Delay was afraid that Lin Yi would push him to Yushu as well. Wouldn't he be dead then? He knew that he wasn't Lin Yi's opponent. None of his men could defeat Lin Yi, and he wasn't stronger than them. Chapter 709. Leave him to die. Ah! Li Delay screamed. He thought he was going to die, but he realized that he didn't feel anything. He was surprised, huh? It didn't hit me? However, when Li Delay looked down, he realized that his body was full of silver needles. Each of them shone under the lights of the restaurant. It was eerie and scary. These needles were on his body? Lee Delay was shocked. He didn't know what technique Lin Yi used, but he wasn't stupid. He knew that it wasn't a normal technique, and he wasn't playing with him. Lin Yi's technique against his subordinates was much sharper than this one. How could it be easier for him to deal with his subordinates? It was obviously impossible, but he didn't know what Lin Yi was trying to do. What did you do to me? What are these needles for? Lee Delay asked in fear as he raised his hands. There was a needle in each of his hands. Pull it out and you'll know. Lin Yi said faintly, but you better not pull it out. Hurry up and call your cousin. If Lin Yi didn't say it, Lee Delay would have pulled the needles out, but he didn't dare to do it after Lin Yi said it. Lin Yi's words were scary. Who knew what would happen? Lin Yi didn't care if Lee Delay removed the needles or not. He turned to Ming Yao, Yu Shu, and Tang Yun. Let's go to another place. We won't eat here. Lee Delay could only smile bitterly. He didn't expect things to end up like this. He could only watch Lin Yi, Ming Yao, Yu Shu, and Tang Yun leave. However, Yu Shu didn't seem to want to leave. She turned around and looked at the needles on Lee Delay's body curiously. Shield bro, what are those? Can I pull one out and try? Don't pull it out. He'll die if you pull it out, Lin Yi said. Oh, I see. Forget it then. I don't want to kill anyone. Yu Shu shook her head. Then let him die on his own. Lee Delay sweated. Would he really die if he pulled the needles out? He didn't know, but Yu Shu's words almost angered him to death. The four walked out of the restaurant, and Ming Yao pushed Yu Shu to the side when she saw that she was still waving her hands around excitedly. Shu, get in the car first. Oh. Yu Shu nodded and got in the car first. Ming Yao then turned to Tang Yun. I'm sorry, Tang Yun, I wanted to treat you to a meal. I didn't think it would turn out like this. Shu's always like that. Always causing trouble. Don't mind her, you'll get used to it. Tang Yun didn't expect Ming Yao to explain things to her. Was this how Ming Yao's arrogant miss was? Yin didn't think it. Or was it because Ming Yao was easy to get along with? Tang Yun shook her head. It's nothing. No one wants to encounter something like this. It's just that this restaurant went overboard. Ming Yao sighed in relief when she saw that Tang Yun wasn't unhappy. She did come to thank Tang Yun today. No matter if they had conflicts in the past or if they were competitors, Ming Yao really wanted to treat Tang Yun to a meal today. She was afraid that Tang Yun would think that Yu Shu brought her to this place on purpose and mess things up. It's good that I met Lee Delay. I wanted to test him too. Lin Yi waved his hand. Let's get in the car. Ming Yao and Tang Yun didn't understand Lin Yi's words. Why was it good to meet Lee Delay? But since Lin Yi didn't say it out loud, they didn't ask. Ming Yao didn't want Tang Yun to look down on her. She wanted to use her identity as an employer to pry into Lin Yi's privacy. Tang Yun had the same idea. She didn't want Ming Yao to think that she was a busybody and didn't give Lin Yi any personal space. After getting in the car, Ming Yao asked Yu Shu, Shu, let's go to another restaurant. Don't look for another one like this. Where did you hear about this restaurant? I saw it on the internet. They said it's really romantic here, and ugh, it's nothing. I just wanted to take a look. Yu Shu stopped herself from blurting out the sex toys she'd been talking about. There's nothing to experience. Don't believe these advertisements. Ming Yao didn't have a good impression of this restaurant. She decided not to come here anymore. Oh, I know another one. Yu Shu wanted to say something, but was interrupted by Ming Yao. Okay, let's go to my family's hotel. Ming Yao didn't want any more trouble. She felt safer at her own hotel. Tang Yun's heart skipped a beat when she heard Ming Yao's words. The difference between her and Ming Yao was too big. Her family had a hotel, but she didn't even have a house. This was the only thing that made Tang Yun feel inferior in front of Lin Yi. She wasn't any worse than Ming Yao and Yu Shu in terms of looks, but Lin Yi's best choice was either Ming Yao or Yu Shu. Plus, Yu Shu seemed to want to be a buy one get one free, a small wife. Tang Yun had a headache. Lin Yi didn't know that Tang Yun was thinking so much. He drove to Pengzhan Hotel. Pengzhan had a family dinner here before, and Lin Yi attended it. Pengzhan had planned to have a party like this every week, but because of the falling chandelier, it was postponed. Today was the second time Lin Yi came to Pengzhan Hotel, but it was crowded here. The cars in front of the hotel weren't less than Starlight Hotel. However, the cars here were more business-oriented. Although they were luxurious, there were very few sports cars. It seemed that Pengzhan's hotel focused on business and meetings, while Starlight Hotel focused on entertainment. Most of the rich kids went there. Lin Yi drove the car into the parking lot, and a security guard directed Lin Yi to park the car. Meng Yao and Yushu rarely appeared here. Even when they had a meal with Pengzhan, they would sit in Faubert's car and drive into the internal parking lot. They would go through the staff passageway, so the security guards didn't know who the miss was. Meng Yao, on the other hand, didn't put on the airs of a Mississippi. She kept a low profile as she entered the hotel lobby with Yushu, Tang Yun, and Lin Yi. They got themselves a room and went upstairs. Chapter 710. The common ground from Tang Yun's perspective, those rich young masters or daughters in those soap operas would always have a CEO with them when they went to their families' hotels and malls, flattering them. This was also why Tang Yun felt that there was a gap between her and the miss, but now it seemed that the miss really was low-key. No one here knew her, and she didn't act like a miss at all. Meng Yao may have grown up in a rich family, but she didn't develop a domineering personality. One reason was because Pengzhan's upbringing was strict, and the other was because the miss was a lonely person. She didn't make friends easily. Yushu was the only good friend she'd had since she was young, and the others weren't that good. Thus, the miss wasn't led astray by bad friends. They both didn't have a mother's love, and this caused Meng Yao and Xiao Xiao to have extreme personalities. They had one thing in common, and that was that they didn't have too many friends. Meng Yao only had Yushu, and Xiao Xiao didn't have any. But the miss was better than Xiao Xiao in the sense that her mother wasn't dead. There was still hope. And with Shu's company, she wasn't that lonely. Xiao Xiao, on the other hand, had nothing, and she had a terminal illness. She could only squander her life to realize the value of her short life. Entering the room, Meng Yao gave the menu and machine to Tang Yun for her to order. But Tang Yun had never been to such a high-class restaurant before. She flipped through 2 pages and was shocked by the price. Why was it so expensive? One dish was enough to cover her family's food expenses for more than a week. Plus, this place had a buffet system. After seeing the dish on the menu, she just had to enter a code into the machine, and it would show if the kitchen could cook the dish or not. But Tang Yun didn't know how to use this thing. I don't know how to order. You do it. Tang Yun was honest. She was poor, and there was no need to pretend in front of Meng Yao. She handed the menu and machine back to Meng Yao. Meng Yao could guess Tang Yun's dilemma. She took the menu and ordered a few dishes without saying anything. She didn't want to eat things like bird's nest and shark's fin since she didn't like it. But considering Tang Yun, she ordered bird's nest porridge and passed the menu to Yushu. Yushu flipped through the menu, only finding shark fins and no shark meat. She was a little disappointed. Yao Yao, I suggest Uncle Chu add shark meat. Meng Yao was speechless. Why would her daddy care so much? He even had to order the dishes for the hotel. After some thought, he asked, do you want to eat shark meat? A little, but I don't know if it's as good as Shield Bros. Yushu gulped. Tang Yun felt a little uncomfortable. Did Lin Yi cook for them every day? Then asked the waiter if he can make it. What else do you want to eat? Meng Yao asked. Nope. Yushu shook her head. All right then. Lin Yi, what about you? Meng Yao wasn't as calm as before in front of Lin Yi, but that was only in her heart. On the surface, her attitude towards Lin, it was like ice, just like when Lin Yi first moved in. But was it really the same? Perhaps only Meng Yao herself could explain it clearly. Or perhaps she didn't understand it herself. This is enough. I'm not picky when it comes to food. Lin Yi was telling the truth. Ever since he was young, he'd always been the one to pick his food. Wherever he went, he'd have to get used to the local food. Deep in the mountains, however, there was no food at all. Lin Yi ate whatever he could get his hands on. He had no choice at all. Meng Yao nodded and called the waiter over. She passed the machine to the waiter and asked, do you have shark meat here? Shark meat? The waiter paused and said, please wait, I'll ask for you. With that, the waiter picked up the walkie-talkie and asked. After getting a confirmation from the kitchen, he said, yes, miss. How would you like to cook it? Can it be barbecued? I want to eat barbecued shark meat. Yushu said, All right, I'll ask for you. The waiter said and asked the kitchen in detail. Yes, but this dish is specially made for you. The price might be a little higher. Is it acceptable? It's around 600 yuan. Sure. Meng Yao nodded faintly. The price was nothing to her. She didn't have a concept of money. Although she wouldn't buy a whole house full of luxury goods like those gold diggers, she didn't care about the price either. The waiter ordered the barbecued shark meat through the walkie-talkie before bringing the drinks over. Meng Yao ordered fruit juice, since they were both girls and Lin Yi was driving. There was no need to drink to keep up appearances. Tang Yun, thank you for what you did today. Meng Yao raised her glass and said to Tang Yun. She hesitated and mocked herself. But it seems like we still can't be friends. Meng Yao was really touched by Tang Yun's action of calling Lin Yi today. But even if she was touched, she wouldn't compromise for her own happiness. Tang Yun wanted to take Lin Yi away from the villa. She couldn't do that. If Lin Yi left, where would she find another person who cared for her so much? Of course, the miss never thought that she would like Lin Yi. Lin Yi was such a playboy. How could she like him? I understand. Tang Yun nodded. She didn't think that the conflict between them could be resolved by the miss treating her to a meal. I called Lin Yi because I didn't want to use this method to defeat my competitor. Huh? Meng Yao smiled, but didn't explain. Tang Yun didn't understand her dependence on Lin Yi. Oh, Yao sis, let's not talk about this topic. It's so boring. Yushu couldn't interrupt the conversation between the miss and Tang Yun. She changed the topic. Haha, then let's not talk about it. Meng Yao drank the juice in her glass and signaled to Tang Yun. Tang Yun also picked up her glass and drank the juice. She accepted Meng Yao's thanks. Actually, Tang Yun didn't think that Meng Yao would thank her so seriously. The relationship between the two was too weird. She wasn't used to eating together like this. Chapter 711. Chapter 0711. Dealing with bad guys. Tang Yun, how did you and Shield Bro get together? Yushu really wanted to know the answer. Lin, he had only been in Songshan for a month, right? Why do you call him Shield Bro? Tang Yun didn't answer and asked back. She didn't understand what Shield Bro meant. Shield Bro, it's because... Yushu didn't finish her sentence and was interrupted by Meng Yao. Ahem. Shield Bro means that Shu feels that Lin Yi is like a shield. He can shield us from the wind and rain and deal with troubles. Meng Yao didn't want Yushu to say what Shield Bro meant. That would be awkward. What if she told Yushu that she hired Lin Yi to be a shield, but didn't use him because he wasn't good enough? Tang Yun would laugh herself to death if that happened. Meng Yao regretted letting Lin Yi pretend to be her boyfriend back then. She wouldn't have had a chance with Tang Yun if she'd let him pretend to be her boyfriend. Oh, I see. Tang Yun nodded. She didn't suspect anything. This was what a bodyguard and follower should do. She just didn't know that Lin Yi was hired by Meng Yao to pretend to be her boyfriend. It was just that the nature of the job changed after that. Lin Yi sat on the side and didn't say anything. He didn't know what to say. All this time, Lin Yi couldn't see through the Mississippi. What kind of attitude did she have towards him? Lin even thought that the miss really liked him when he saw the miss fighting with Tang Yun. But when he got home, it didn't seem to be the case. The miss had hidden herself very well, and no one knew what she was thinking. Perhaps what Yushu saw was only the surface of the miss's personality. Similarly, Yushu should be the same. The miss only saw Yushu on the surface. Lin Yi didn't believe that Yushu was that dumb. The feeling she gave Lin Yi was that Yushu was smarter than anyone. It was just that she liked living like this. She was happy and carefree. But while the two sisters hid their feelings deeply, their feelings for each other were real, and their care for each other was real as well. This was something that Lin Yi admired, especially after Yushu found out that Meng Yao had fainted. Not many people were able to do that, even if it meant going through thick and thin together. It's your turn. How did you get together with Shield Bro? Yushu continued. Lin Yi and I. Tang Yun looked at Lin Yi, and seeing that he didn't stop her, she started to speak. Thinking about what happened between her and Lin Yi, it was funny. Lin Yi probably didn't have that kind of feelings for her. It was just that after the incident with Zhou Ruoming, she naturally had a defensive mentality. She also thought that Lin Yi was a rich kid who wanted to hit on her. But a series of things happened. Lin Yi helped her a few times. The relationship between the two seemed to get closer. But if they were to talk about a real breakthrough, it was probably when Lin Yi came to her house for the first time. He met Xiaofan and wanted to jump off the building. Was that when she started to like Lin Yi? Tang Yin shook her head. She didn't remember. She didn't know how she fell in love with Lin Yi and got together with him. Tang Yin seemed to be talking to herself, but it also seemed like she was reminiscing. She told Yushu and Meng Yao about what happened between her and Lin Yi. It was only now that Meng Yao understood how helpless Tang Yin was when she was harassed by Zhou Ruoming. Because of her identity, she never thought that a guy could be so bad, so immoral, and so shameless when it came to pursuing a girl. Other than Pin Liang, Meng Yao didn't have any other harassers at school. Everyone knew who she was, and no one dared to do anything to her. Even Pin Liang had Yushu teasing him every day. Meng Yao didn't have that kind of helplessness or fear in front of Pin Liang. But then again, Pin Liang dared to kidnap her even though she was the Mississippi. Wouldn't Ruoming be even more reckless if Tang Yin didn't have an identity or background? She thought to herself, if it wasn't for Lin Yi, one could imagine what would happen to Tang Yin. Before, Meng Yao thought that the bullying and harassing of girls in school was very far away from her. She even thought that it was just a rumor. However, after hearing Tang Yin's words, she realized that these things were happening around her. It was just that she didn't know about it. Thinking about the relationship between Lin Yi and Tang Yin, it was a beautiful love story. The hero saving the beauty. How cliché, but it was an unchanging story that had been passed down for thousands of years. Wasn't the legend of the white snake the same? After listening to Tang Yin's story, Meng Yao didn't hate Tang Yin that much. She even sympathized with her. But sympathy was sympathy. Who would sympathize with her? She finally had the feeling of being cared for and cared for. She wouldn't allow anyone to take that away. Oh, if anyone pursues you in the future, leave it to me. I guarantee that they will return in failure. Look, Yao Yao Sis's pursuers already had their kidneys cut out. Yushu said, I specialize in dealing with evil people. Yushu was joking, but Meng Yao understood what she was implying. She believed that Tang Yin understood as well. She didn't need Lin Yi's help. She could stop her love rival from harassing her. That's all. Tang Yin also felt that Yushu wasn't stupid at all. She was terrifyingly smart, because you couldn't tell which words were true and which were false. It seemed like a joke, but there were a lot of hidden meanings. Oh, that's boring. Yushu was a little disappointed. Pinliang's a cripple now, and Ruoming's a coward now. We don't even know who to play with in school anymore. Shu, your mission is to study hard. Don't play with people. Meng Yao said to Yushu. Okay, I won't play then. I'll listen to Yao Yao Sis. Yushu nodded and turned to Lin. Hey, chill, bro. You need to study hard too. Otherwise, you won't be able to get into the same university as us. Tang Yin was speechless. Get into the same university? Are you guys not going to let Lin Yi go for the rest of his life? You want him to be your follower for life? Why would he get into the same university? Watch him flirt? Meng Yao frowned and said subconsciously. But after saying that, she felt that it wasn't appropriate. Tang Yin was still sitting in front of her. Wasn't she talking about Lin Yi and Tang Yin? Chapter 712. I can't be with you forever. Of course. Tang Yin nodded. That was her decision all along. Since she'd taken this step, she'd keep going. If Lin Yi didn't want her, she'd die in front of him. Oh, then can you accept Shield Bro's womanizing? Yushu continued. Or, can you accept him having other wives? Tang Yin was stunned by Yushu's question. What kind of question was that? What did he mean by she could accept him having other wives? How could he accept it? I'm sure it's not just me. Other girls won't be able to accept it either. No. Tang Yin was about to say that she couldn't accept it, but she swallowed it back down. Was this a trap set up by Yushu? It seemed that there were girls who could accept the fact that Lin Yi had another wife. Meng Yao and Yushu Didn't the two of them claim that they wanted to be Lin Yi's first and second wives? They even want to play 3P together. Tang Yin was at a loss. This Yushu wasn't as dumb as she looked. Talking to her was really scary. One misstep, and he would fall into the trap. Every single one of Yushu's questions was so tricky that it wasn't easy to answer. Tang Yin thought that Yushu might use that as an excuse to attack her if she didn't accept it. She might say, "You can't accept it, but we can." Wouldn't that make him seem a little stingy and weak? But to say that she could accept it, Tang Yin really couldn't. Why? Why did he have to accept other wives? Wasn't he just looking for trouble for himself? But seeing that Yushu was looking at her, Tang Yin knew that she had to answer. She'd already made up her mind to be Xiao Xiao's mistress. So what if she accepted a wife? Thus, he gritted his teeth and forced himself to say, "That depends on what kind of wife it is." Tang Yun's answer was ambiguous. The initiative was in her hands. In other words, whether she accepted or not, it was up to her. She also did not give any criteria for judging. However, even so, Tang Yun's answer was out of Lin Yi's expectations. Tang Yun could accept him having another girl? "Oh, what do you think about me being Shield Bro's concubine? Sister Yao Yao is the first wife, and you're the second wife? Or you could be the main wife, you guys decide. I'll be the second wife." Yushu said. Tang Yin didn't expect Yushu to say something like this. Wasn't this putting her in a difficult position? Should I accept it or not? He was a little reluctant to accept it. But if he said no, wouldn't that be saying that Yushu wasn't good enough? Wouldn't that offend someone? "Little Shu, what nonsense are you talking about?" Meng Yao frowned. Yushu was getting more and more out of hand. She quickly stopped her. "Why isn't the food here yet? Let's see if I can shut your mouth later." "Oh, I'll stop, I was just saying," Yushu said with a wave of her hand. "Tang Yun, Shu is always like this. She's always talking nonsense. I want to send her to the mental hospital," Meng Yao explained, blushing a little. Yushu had brought her in earlier, and it made Meng Yao feel uncomfortable all over. "Oh, Yao Yao sis, don't send me to the mental hospital," Yushu exclaimed. "There's nothing fun there." Meng Yao was speechless. Tang Yin was the same. Yushu didn't want to go to the mental hospital because there's nothing fun there. "It's nothing, I'm getting used to it." Tang Yin touched her forehead and smiled bitterly. Lin, he didn't interrupt. How was he supposed to interrupt? This topic seemed to be beneficial to him. Soon, the food was served. The shark meat Yushu ordered was also placed on the table. It didn't take long for all the dishes to be ready. One had to admit that Pengzhan Hotel was quite efficient. "All right, the dishes are ready. I wanted to say something to thank you, but I'm not really good with words. Lenny knows that I don't really talk much." Meng Yao wanted to say something before the meal, but she rarely spoke in a situation like this. She didn't know what to say. But before she could finish, she saw Yushu sneakily picking up a piece of shark meat and putting it into her mouth. Meng Yao angrily smashed Yushu's hand with her chopsticks, knocking the shark meat into her bowl. "Shu, what are you doing?" "I'm trying to see if it's good." Yushu looked like she was about to cry. She rubbed her wrist. "Oh, I almost got crippled. The guest hasn't eaten yet. How can you eat first?" Meng Yao scolded. "How would I know? I'm always the one eating first at home." Yushu said weakly. "It's nothing. Let her eat first." Tang Yin saw how pitiful Yushu was and stopped Meng Yao from getting angry. She didn't have any rules. It didn't matter who ate first. "I'm sorry. This Shu." Meng Yao rubbed her temples. "You need to have a good mentality to live with her." Tang Yin shook her head. Yushu was a little weird, but living with her would be fun. There were two sides to everything. However, Tang Yin quickly threw this thought to the back of her head. Live with Yushu? She couldn't really let her be Lin Yi's small wife, right? Yushu continued eating the shark meat, but shook her head after one bite. "It's not as good as Shield Bro's cooking. Lin, he can't be with you for the rest of your life. You need to learn how to adapt to life." Meng Yao glared at Yushu. Yushu didn't say anything and continued eating the shark meat. The atmosphere became heavy. Tang Yin didn't know what to say. She looked at Yushu's pitiful face and didn't know what to say. Could she let Lin Yi be her nanny for the rest of his life? What about herself? Although Meng Yao tried her best to maintain the atmosphere of the meal, the more she tried, the stranger the atmosphere became. Tang Yun felt uncomfortable. She felt that Meng Yao and Yushu were two strong rivals. After the meal, Meng Yao took out her VIP card when they were paying the bill, and the waiter in charge of the room froze. She didn't expect Meng Yao to have a diamond card here. The diamond card was a VIP card issued by Pengzhan Industries. There were less than 100 of them. Chapter 7:13. Pig's brain. The waiter's attitude was much more respectful than before as he carefully took Meng Yao's diamond card and left the room. After a while, the door opened again, but it wasn't the waiter who came in. It was a middle-aged man. The middle-aged man walked quickly to Meng Yao and said respectfully, "Miss, you're here. Why didn't you call me? I could have arranged a VIP room for you." This middle-aged man was the CEO of Pengzhan Hotel. His surname was Liu, and he was 35 or 36 years old. Now that Pengzhan's words were like the sun in the sky, most of the decisions in the board of directors were made by Pengzhan alone. As a result, the people in charge of the other industries were all feeling insecure. Those who were close to the other shareholders were now trying to switch their allegiance to Pengzhan. It couldn't be helped. Pengzhan wasn't only the biggest shareholder of the group, but he also had the second biggest shareholder, Lin Yi, as his proxy. This meant that he had the two most important votes in the group, and no one dared to oppose him. Manager Liu didn't know that the second biggest shareholder of the company was sitting right in front of him. If he knew, he'd be scared to death. "I don't want to trouble you." Meng Yao frowned. She didn't think that Manager Liu would come in person. She wouldn't have taken out the VIP card if she knew. Meng Yao didn't go to the VIP room because she really didn't want to. She really didn't like the feeling of being recognized as the Miss and being surrounded by people like stars around the moon. Meng Yao really didn't like that feeling. So Meng Yao chose to keep a low profile and asked for a private room. But now that Manager Liu was here, Meng Yao was afraid that Tang Yun would misunderstand and think that she was looking down on her by not bringing her to the VIP room. The Miss hesitated and thought of a solution. "Manager Liu, you still have a VIP card, right? Get one for my friend, and I'll talk to Faubert." The people in charge of the industries had the right to introduce and apply for VIP cards, but the highest level diamond card had to be approved by the headquarters before it could be applied. So if it wasn't a very important client, Manager Liu wouldn't apply for a diamond card. Meng Yao said that she wanted to talk to Faubert, so naturally, she wanted to apply for a diamond card. Manager Liu quickly nodded. How could the group not approve something that Missy had asked for? Moreover, eldest Miss was going to tell Faubert. Tang Yun, on the other hand, didn't think too much about it. If Meng Yao acted like a Miss the moment she arrived, it would look like she was showing off in front of Tang Yun. On the other hand, Tang Yun felt that the Miss was still keeping a low profile. Tang Yun only realized that the VIP card Meng Yao wanted was for her when they went downstairs. She shook her head quickly. "I can't afford it, even if it's for me. The prices here are too high." Tang Yun told the truth. There was nothing to be embarrassed about. The Miss knew about her family situation. "You can also go to Pengzhan Mall. There's a discount there too," Meng Yao explained. I usually go to the night market to buy it." Tang Yun still rejected. This thing was useless to her, and the card was precious. She didn't want to owe Meng Yao a favor. "Then let's give it to Lin." Since Meng Yao had already said it, it wouldn't be nice to refuse. It would be the same if it was given to Lin Yi. Manager Liu felt that the name Lin Yi was familiar. Where had he heard it before? However, it wasn't nice to ask in front of the Mississippi. He quickly applied for a diamond card for Lin Yi. After the Miss left, Manager Liu picked up the phone and reported to Faubert. The moment he mentioned Lin Yi, Faubert's answer shocked Manager Liu. Lin Yi was the second biggest shareholder of the company that had shown his face once. He was said to be Pengzhan's son-in-law. Why would someone like him need a membership card? However, thinking about how the Miss was low profile and how Lin Yi was also a low-profile person, Manager Liu felt extremely honored. He was able to apply for a card for the second biggest shareholder of the group, especially when the person who introduced him was him. Li Dile watched as Lin Yi, Meng Yao, Yushu, and Tang Yin walked out of the Western restaurant. He regretted his lust. He was scared when he saw his underlings lying on the ground. However, he didn't forget Lin Yi's words. He quickly picked up the phone and called his cousin. There were so many needles in his hands and body. He didn't know what was so special about them. However, he didn't dare to pull them out casually. After all, Lin Yi told him that he would die if he pulled them out. Although he didn't believe it, he had to believe it when he thought about Lin Yi's skills. The reason was simple. Li Delay was the leader of these people. Lin even beat his underlings to the ground. How could he let him go? Hello? Lazy? What's up? Sihua was troubled. The poisoning plan failed, and he didn't know how to deal with Lin Yi. He received a call from his cousin, but he didn't know what he was going to do. Cousin, you have to help me. The place was destroyed, and I'm stuck with needles all over my body. I don't dare to pull them out. Li Delay said with a sad face. His only hope was for Sihua to avenge him. Your restaurant was destroyed? You're covered in needles? What do you mean? What happened? Tell me in detail. Sihua's heart skipped a beat. The more troubled he was, the more trouble he'd get himself into. His brother was usually fine, and everyone in the underworld knew that he was his cousin. They'd give him some face, so why was there a problem today? It's like this. Li Delay didn't dare to hide it and told Sihua everything. He couldn't hide it even if he wanted to. There were people in the Western restaurant, and the Scar Man was Sihua's direct subordinate. He was just sent to watch over the place. Fuck, you're a pig brain. Do you have nothing better to do? There are women everywhere. Aren't you afraid of ruining your business by flirting with customers? Don't you know that your restaurant still has to pay to the owner every month? Sihua was furious. His brother was too arrogant. However, he couldn't just ignore his brother. They pierced needles in your hands and body. Don't you know how to go to the hospital? What's the point of calling me? Li Delay froze. Yeah, why was he so obedient? What he should do now was to go to the hospital, not call his cousin. His cousin wasn't a doctor, and he couldn't treat the needles in his body. Chapter 714. Nothing? Li Delay hung up the phone and found a lackey who wasn't lying on the ground to accompany him to the First People's Hospital. Li Delay felt embarrassed under everyone's surprised gazes. Everyone in the hospital looked at him as if he was a monster. After all, he was covered in silver needles like a porcupine. Those who didn't know the truth would think that something was wrong with him. Li Delay didn't dare to stay any longer and went straight to the surgery consultation room. He was a gangster, and his underlings often got injured from conflicts with others, so he was familiar with the surgeons here. Wang bro, help. Quick, help me check the silver needles on my body. Li Delay saw a familiar face. It was Dr. Wang from the surgery department. Dr. Wang didn't have anything to do at the moment and was stunned when he saw Delay. He asked curiously, Boss Li, what happened to you? Did you get acupuncture? Acupuncture my ass. I was stabbed by someone. Li Delay was speechless. He gritted his teeth when he thought of Lin. That person told me that he wouldn't let me pull it out. He said that he would die if I pulled it out. That's why I rushed to the hospital. Dr. Wang, you're knowledgeable. Can you take a look at me? He would die if he pulled it out? It was the first time Dr. Wang heard of this. How many needles were stuck in his body? He was fine when they were inserted, but he would die if he pulled it out? Was he trying to scare him? Dr. Wang didn't believe it, but he didn't dare to ignore Li Delay's explanation. I've never seen it before. How about I get the chief of our department to take a look at you? That's fine. Thank you, Wang bro. Li Delay felt embarrassed and didn't want too many people to know about it. However, he couldn't care too much since it was a matter of life and death. After a while, Dr. Wang brought an old man over and let Li Delay take a look. The old man didn't see anything special about the needles. If the needles were poisoned, Li Delay would have died a long time ago. It didn't matter whether he pulled it out or not. If it wasn't poisoned, he wouldn't die even if he pulled it out. The needles were only inserted in a shallow area and didn't hurt his organs. How could he die after pulling it out? However, the old man wasn't stupid. He didn't say anything since he knew about Li Delay's condition. I personally think it's fine. I can pull it out for you, but if anything happens, the hospital won't be responsible. Li Delay suddenly felt guilty. He thought that it wouldn't be a problem to pull out a few small needles in the hospital, but the old specialist in the hospital said that he wasn't confident. So how could he pull them out? Lily had no choice. He could only call Delay's phone again. Li Delay called Sihua again. But the hospital said that they won't be responsible if anything happens after the needle is removed. Li Delay panicked. Brother, can you help me think of a solution? What should I do? Sihua didn't expect his cousin to be so useless, but the severity of the situation made it seem like he couldn't just ignore it. Wait, I'll go take a look now. Sihua asked which hospital and ward Li Delay was in and rushed over. Li looked at Li. Li Delay was... And Li... Isn't he a porcupine? Why are there thorns all over his body? Even the hospital can't pull it out. Li Sihua looked at the needles on Li Delay's body and didn't think there was anything wrong. Yeah, Wong Bro and the specialist said that they can't pull it out. They won't be responsible if anything happens. Li Delay nodded. Wait here, I'll go ask. Li Sihua walked into the surgery room and saw Dr. Wong. Dr. Wong naturally knew Li Sihua. He was one of the most powerful people in the city. He didn't dare to neglect him and quickly walked over. Sihua bro. Dr. Wong, how's my cousin's condition? Sihua nodded. He didn't bother with small talk and went straight to the point. Actually, according to my judgment, he's fine. Dr. Wong told the truth. The needles aren't deep, so it's impossible to hurt his organs. It's nonsense to say that he'll die if he pulls it out. If you say that the needles are poisonous, it doesn't matter if you pull it out or not. You'll be poisoned even if you don't pull it out. Besides, there are needles on Boss Li's hands, so there aren't any fatal spots. Oh, what do you mean? Li Sihua felt that Dr. Wong was right. What fatal spots could there be on the hands? The problem is that your brother's words are scary. He said that he'll die if the needles are pulled out. No one can bear this responsibility. It's better to be safe than sorry, isn't it? Dr. Wong smiled bitterly. Li Sihua nodded. He understood Dr. Wong's difficulty. Li Delay was his cousin, and if something happened, he was afraid that Li Delay would cause trouble for him. How about we pull out the needles on his hands first? I think there won't be any problems. Even if there's a problem, I'll take responsibility. What do you think? Li Sihua pondered and asked. He couldn't let his brother live like a porcupine, right? He had to solve it eventually. After this, Li Sihua still had to return to Master Bing's place to discuss countermeasures. They had to deal with Lin Yi. It wasn't as simple as breaking Master Bing's legs and killing Zhang Long and Li Yao. They had to destroy a skyscraper. Lin Yi casually used a few forklifts and bombs, and 100 million was gone. Master Bing only demolished his girlfriend's bungalow, but Li Yao demolished a skyscraper. How cruel! He can pull out the needles himself. Sihua bro, why don't you help him? Dr. Wong naturally didn't want to do it. Who would do such a risky thing? All right, then help me look after him. If there's a problem, we can deal with in time. Li Sihua nodded and agreed. Li Delay saw his cousin coming out with Dr. Wong and quickly asked, Bro, how is it? I'll help you pull out the needles first. There aren't any fatal spots on your hands, so it should be fine. Many people live with broken arms and legs, don't they? Li Sihua said. Li Delay thought about it and agreed. He nodded and said to Sihua, All right, pull out the needles on my hands first. Pulling out a needle wasn't a big deal. Sihua easily pulled out the needles on Li Delay's left hand. Li Delay's hand didn't even bleed. Chapter 715. It can't be cured. Only an idiot like you would believe it. Sihua sneered. Haven't you seen Tang Bohu touch autumn fragrance? Isn't that what Han Xiao half-step bumpy is like? Li Delay blushed. He was too careful. How could he be tricked like this? How embarrassing. How could he live in the underworld if this got out? I'm sorry, bro. I made you suffer. Li Delay said embarrassedly and turned to Dr. Wong. Dr. Wong, please keep this a secret. Don't worry. It's normal for a doctor to keep a secret for his patient. Not to mention Boss Li. Dr. Wong was happy to pretend that he didn't know since it had nothing to do with him. All right, don't embarrass yourself here. Hurry up and pull out the rest of the needles. Sihua glared at Li Delay. Yes, yes. Li Delay nodded and wanted to use his left hand to pull out the needles on other parts of his body. However, he realized that his left hand couldn't move when he lifted his arm. He wanted to pinch the needles, but he couldn't feel his fingers at all. Even his entire hand couldn't feel anything. What are you doing? Siwa didn't know what happened to Li Delay when he didn't move. Bro, my hand. I can't move my hand. Li Delay stared at his left hand in fear. He couldn't feel his left hand at all. He could move his arm, but he couldn't control anything above his wrist. Can't move? What do you mean? Sihua was stunned. Bro, I can't move my left hand. It doesn't feel like it's mine. I can't feel it all. Li Delay said and shook his left arm, but he still couldn't feel anything. How was this possible? Sihua frowned and looked at Li Delay's left hand carefully. He didn't find anything wrong, so he turned to Dr. Wong. Dr. Wong, what do you think is going on? Dr. Wong was surprised. Li Delay's left hand was fine before the needles were pulled out. How come he couldn't feel anything after the needles were pulled out? Is it numb? Let's wait and see. Dr. Wong had never seen anything like this before. No, it's definitely not numb. I don't feel anything at all. It's as if this hand isn't mine anymore. Li Delay shook his head continuously. What's wrong? Li Delay shook his head. Does it have anything to do with the silver needle? Sihua looked at Li Delay's hand suspiciously. It's hard to say. Dr. Wong didn't know whether it was related or not. In short, he had never seen a similar situation. So now, Sihua could only hope that Dr. Wong had a solution. Now we can only take an x-ray first. If there are no problems, do a comprehensive examination and wait for the conclusion to come out, Dr. Wong suggested. All right. Sihua nodded and asked Dr. Wong to bring Li Delay for a checkup. As for the other needles on Li Delay's body, he didn't dare to pull them out. He could only leave them there. Although it was a little unsightly and eye-catching, who could guarantee that the situation of losing feeling in the left hand would not happen again after these silver needles were removed? Whether or not there was a connection between the two was still hard to say. Soon, Li Delay's results came out. However, the results made both Li Delay and Sihua pale. Hand nerve necrosis? The Li brothers widened their eyes when they saw the results. This is only the nerve, but according to the system's examination, the muscle tissue of the hand is also showing signs of necrosis. Dr. Wong also felt that it was inexplicable. The nerves and muscles were all necrotic after being pricked by a silver needle. Wasn't this a little too inconceivable? The strangest thing was that there was no poison on the needle at all. It was just a normal needle. Then what should we do now? Can it be cured? Sihua asked. We can try, but it's best to amputate the left hand immediately to prevent the necrosis from affecting the arm, Dr. Wong said. Sihua frowned. There was no need to describe how shocked he was. Who did Li Delay offend? Why was he being harmed like this? He couldn't help but yell at Li Delay. What's his background? Who exactly did you provoke? I don't know. He's just here to eat. Li Delay was also terrified. He was dumbfounded when he heard Dr. Wong saying that he might have to amputate his hand. Wasn't this too scary? Here to eat? Think carefully. Is there any information? What's his name? What does he look like? Sihua asked. I remember. There's a girl called Tang Yun among them. Li Delay was sensitive to beautiful girls' names, so he remembered Tang Yun's name. Tang Yun. Sihua's expression froze. It couldn't be such a coincidence, right? Tang Yun? Wasn't that Lin Yi's girlfriend? Yes, that's her name. I can't remember the guy who attacked me, but his surname is Lin. Li Delay didn't notice his cousin's expression as he tried to recall with his eyes closed. Lin? Is his name Lin Yi? Sihua took a deep breath and tried to control his emotions. Yes, his name is Lin Yi. Brother, do you know this person? Can you ask him to save me? Li Delay was overjoyed when he heard that his cousin knew this person. I do. A complicated expression flashed across Sihua's eyes. But he won't come to save you. He won't come. Li Delay was in despair. Why? Brother, please beg him. I can give him as much money as he wants. I can even hold a banquet to apologize to him. I don't want to lose my hands. I have a deep grudge against him. No wonder he wasn't afraid after hearing my name. Sihua sighed. You shouldn't have used my name. You're just looking for trouble for yourself. Sihua sighed. You shouldn't have used my name. A deep grudge? Li Delay was dumbfounded. How would he know that Lin, Yi, and Sihua had a grudge against each other? Whenever he used his cousin's name, people would respect him. Li Delay didn't expect to meet Sihua's enemy. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.